see an ever-changing news and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello and welcome to episode 179 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills and joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you have not listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. We are using the magazine Zap 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, but we are in no way affiliated with Zap 64 itself. This week, we start our look at May 1991 and the first batch of games reviewed in issue 73 of Zap 64, along with what was also going on in the UK singles and albums chart that month. Graham, please, may I ask, are we going to get some good games this month?
We finally arrived in the merry old month of May in 1991. The trees are blossoming and the seagulls are dive-bombing and stealing people's chips on the seafront. So in a month that also saw the 356th and final episode of the TV show Dallas air on CBS in the USA, we pack our trusty ninja doggy poop bags, get our best ball lobber, and head into the battle-torn zones of yet another ninja beat-em-up, this time while walking our pooch in a lumpen shadow dancer, and then we explore the finest ways possible to remove the sport, enjoyment, and fun out of a game by merging tables of data with single key presses in the depressing Rugby Coach. Nothing says dreary like a screen full of player stats you know nothing about and could do nothing with. Shocking. So while we at least hope and pray no actual rugby players were harmed or offended by that rubbish game, we once again grab our fancy sailor suits and hop around the world of everyone's favourite bulky four-armed spinach addict in Popeye 2 before we finally revisit an old friend, or at least check in on the latest antics of the NES come arcade come late to the party leap and float platformer Mighty Bomb Jack. May is off to a slow start with some dreary crap to contend with. This is not how we wanted the spring of May 1991 to have sprung. Maybe things will get better. Who can tell? This is the month of May, the merry, merry month of May. Fa-la-la-la-la-la-la. It's a fa-la-la month, isn't it, May? Fa-la-la, a lot of fa-la-la.
You'd make a good politician because you haven't answered the question.
Oh. No is the answer.
It's a fallow month. Just, take it as it says.
So, we'll call May a fallow month.
Fallow, yes.
It's a fallow month.
It's a month. It's a month. It's a month.
Yeah, stuff happened. Stuff got released, and we'll talk about that stuff that got released.
We will talk about that stuff. But before we get into that, I'm feeling much better. Thank you very much. If you're wondering,
good. Pleased to hear that. You were struggling a bit last week.
Yeah, I was. I had a really bad cold. But I've pretty much got over that now. So that's good. So back to work and back on the up and up.
Who did you pass it on to? Because I know with colds with you, it's like it follows. So,
well, my partner's downstairs at the moment going, I feel a bit funny. I'm like, oh, take those drugs I got.
The idea of it follows is you give it to someone, not the way they're doing it follows, for goodness sakes. But
I didn't pass it on for purpose. Hopefully I just passed it on to a student who's obviously giving it to me, the damn dirty apes.
Full Charlton Heston on them. Get your hands off me.
Get off my keyboard. I can't touch it now.
They'll start chanting, ape has killed ape. And you'll be like, all right, okay.
They could do that, They could. I've seen them do it. I've seen worse. I've seen much worse. Before we get into the games themselves, so it is the first episode of the month, so we need to look at the cover.
We do.
So, Graham, do you want to look at? So, got anything to say about this cover?
It's obviously piratey. It's for Skull and Crossbones, isn't it? It's very piratey.
It is very piratey.
And of the comic book style again, as opposed to the kind of Ollie Frey style that we've seen before. I don't think this is Ollie Frey. At least I don't think I've
it's
seen
not
it.
Ollie Frey.
No.
That's what I'm just trying to look at who did this again.
I mean, I quite like these covers in of the style of them. I mean, and this one does look very swashbuckly.
Yeah.
It is, and a big pirate flag there. The Jolly Roger torn, and they're having some kind of sword fight with cutlasses and classic piratey stuff. I don't know that's. I mean, what they've done is they've crammed everything they knew about pirates into one image. So that is literally everything. Short of the X marks the spot, but there's treasure, there's cutlasses, there's pirates, there's a ship's mast, there's a Jolly Roger flag, there's a damsel in distress who's weirdly in chains, clapped in irons. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, there's an X and an O on those chests in the background.
Oh, there you go. So they've got everything in there. I mean, they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink, the piratey kitchen sink.
No bottle of rum.
That's true. That's a yo-ho and the bottle of rum and all that.
Yeah.
So it is of the Treasure Island ilk. I quite like it, actually. It is enough because Skull and Crossbones doesn't tell you a lot.
No,
really.
Chris Weston. Chris Weston is the artist, by the way.
So hats off to him. He's got a bit of kineticism. Although he looked more vibratey than.
That's what I thought. It's like the last cover you did. There seemed no movement on it. Oh, I'll give you movement. Oh, now they just look like they're being vibrated. So everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean that guy is vibrating the same as his sword. So I don't know what defense mechanism he's using, or maybe the sword's very, very heavy and he's hit it, and the clang together has emitted like a really low E, and it's like clong, clong. He's like, his teeth are almost chatting, aren't they? So I quite like it. It's quite good.
He's got very yellow teeth as well, notice, compared to the white of the pirates.
Yeah, I mean, he has got an eye patch on. I suspect that's a peg leg, or maybe he's just pleased to see her. Is he holding her hair, though, which is a bit violent?
Yes.
There's a bit of violence towards women in this. I'm not necessarily keen on, I have to say. No, she's clapped in irons and he's like yanking her hair back, and it's a little bit like, I don't know that's very nice for a cover of a magazine, I mean.
No. What's worse, though, is they've continued with this italicized first letter.
Oh, you know what? Talk about typeface crimes, honestly. I'm just trying to ignore it nowadays. And also, you'll notice it says, sail the seven seas for wine, women, and treasure. They didn't drink wine, did they, pirates, really? They're famous for grog, I think.
Grog, rum,
Grum. Grog and rum, grum. Both of those things mixed together.
Yeah.
Not necessarily big wine drinkers. Maybe they were. No. I don't know for sure. I don't think they were. I mean, they've gone for alliteration, but wine, women, and treasure is not alliterative. No, and it's not yo-ho and a bottle of wine, is it? When I think about it.
Yo-ho and a bottle of Pinot Grigio, please.
That's what they ask for it when they're in the shops.
You're the poshest pirate I've ever met.
And we've had a few in here, believe me. Always after the rum, normally. Not you. You're a posh one, aren't you?
Oi, Blackbeard, have you got the Asti Spumante?
I don't like this vintage.
Absolutely. I'm more of a Lambrini pirate.
Jim, lad, you've corked the wine.
I'm sorry, Sean. What was that?
Actually, he does look a bit Ramirez-y, that guy on the left, when I think about it.
Yeah, he might do, actually. So what else we got on here? Skull and Crossbones. Crucial, Graham, C64 action. Crucial, that was a word, wasn't it, from around that time?
Yeah, totally, yeah. Crucial, yeah. I mean, I didn't play anything off the Mega Tape. I think we played everything off the Mega Tape, though, hadn't we?
I think so. Quake -1. We reviewed that ages ago, didn't we? That was kind of odd, but okay. Slayer by Hewson. I seem to remember that being okay.
Okay, so, part of that batch of them, wasn't it? That we went through.
Yeah. CJ's Music Demo by Ashley Hogg.
So that's the music off CJ's Elephant Antics, I guess.
Yeah, and Orion by Hewson. That don't ring any bells.
It don't ring any bells, that one, but I didn't play them, so apologies to anyone that feels that we should probably play them, and maybe we should, but we haven't.
Well, we should have, but the games this week.
Yeah, and I've got them all anyway. We have got all the cover tapes, so we will maybe retroactively.
We did look at Orion. Orion was it's a weird sort of underwater left to right squally thing with odd sprites. We looked at it ages ago because it was issue 48, April 89. Okay. It was in Zapped.
Now, there is something important on the front cover of this, though, isn't there? And that is Ultima 6, because I wasn't a big Ultima fan, but I do know that Ultima 6 is kind of the big landmark version of the Ultima games, isn't it? It's a real big deal.
I don't know. I don't know much about the Ultima games, from perfectly honest, apart from they're made by Lord British.
Well, I've exhausted all my knowledge of them, other than that one fact.
The way you were speaking there, I thought I was speaking to like
I'm not an authority on them.
Aficionado of the Ultima series.
Far from it. But I do know. I remember there being a lot of brouhaha at the time about Ultima 6, but I don't know why, and I still don't, which is funny, really. You think I would after all this time. But I do remember thinking, yes, Ultima 6. when I looked at this cover for this.
Right, okay.
And then the first picks of Creatures 2, of course. Well, we've got Creatures 2 coming up.
Yeah.
And
that's the
Railroad
torture one, isn't it?
Tycoon, which I didn't realise was a C64 game. I don't know why. I've always just put it down as
Is
PC.
it? Is it sure it's not? Is it Amiga? Could be Amiga.
I suppose it.
Let me
Yeah,
have a
actually,
look.
probably is. Yeah, it will be Amiga.
It
But
is
I mean,
Amiga.
even
It
then,
is
yeah.
Amiga. Yeah.
Be rich, bossy, and hated. Okay. I mean, it's not actually as covers go in terms of the typography. As much as that stupid italicized first letter is a mistake, they'll never ever be able to undo.
No.
The actual contextual text on it is actually okay. There's not loads of it for once, so it just sort of sticks to the facts. The Sail the Seven Seas, First Picks of Creatures, Railroad Tycoon. It's got the games at the forefront, which is important.
Just to say that Ultima 6 is for the C64, and it's in the strategy section, so that's why we're not going to look at it, unfortunately, but it does get a gold medal.
Yeah, I knew it was an important one, and I just don't know why, but now I do.
Well, it got 98%.
Maybe we should swing our eyes at that. I mean, only because it might make us feel better about the dog eggs we've had to endure for this episode, but we'll see. I'm not a big strategy game player, and
no, I
wouldn't be doing it justice.
It's a classic top-down RPG by the looks of it. It's one of those. You know exactly what it is. It's top-down, lots of stats, lots of walking around in dungeons, probably, and what have you.
People who follow the podcast, and we've got an amazing bunch of patrons that often play some of the games that we don't have to. And so I'm sure one of them might pick that up and tell us a little bit about it. But I do remember it being pretty important. So
yeah, I'm aware of Ultima, but that's as far as my knowledge goes. Like yours.
Same. That's it. And that was it. I soon exhausted my information, didn't I? Wow, one sentence.
Go check out Professor Ultima over here.
He knows too much.
Neutralize his electroscan
quickly and do it now.
Absolutely. Enough of that then. So the game, so that's it then. Railroad Tycoon. The cover's all right. It's piratey for Skull and Crossbones, which we'll look at next week.
Most piratey, yes.
Yeah, most piratey. So should we get into some of the games then? We've got 4
Lord
this
help
week.
us. Lord help us. Let's get it over with quickly. Mercifully.
Okay. Let's get to the first game this week. And that game is Shadow Dancer, the Dancer of the Shadows. Ooh. $10.99. You got 83% this, Graham. Can you believe it?
It's a miracle. I'm going to play that music. I'm telling you, it's a miracle. Copyright strike be damned.
It's a mystery. We better. It's a mystery.
Copyright strike be double damned. This is Toya Wilcox territory right here.
Yeah. From Sega comes the sequel to Shinobi in the form of Shadow Dancer, and this time you've got yourself a dog.
Good old dog.
Obviously, clearly this was, and I hate to say it, I mean, it is what it is, but this is the inspiration for the god-awful Wild Streets, isn't it, really? Where you had a panther.
Absolutely is, yeah.
It must be.
It must
be.
So we looked
at Shinobi way back in episode 133, October 1989, and we found it a decent pacey port of the arcade game. Played well and did the C64 proud. We enjoyed it.
Good. They're good words.
And now we come to Shadow Dancer. And according to the wiki for this, Shadow Dancer is a side-scrolling hack-and-slash action game produced by Sega and originally released as an arcade game in 1989. It is the second and the final arcade game in the Shinobi series. This was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Following the original Shinobi itself. I don't think you can call something a series if all it does is gets a sequel. Yeah,
a series is surely more than 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So the player controls a ninja aided by an attack dog who is fighting to save the city. Now, remember this bit. So he's fighting to save the city from a terrorist organization. All right.
Okay, I remember that.
So anyway, in Japan, Game Machine listed it on their January 1st, 1990 issue as being the 4th most successful table arcade unit of the month. And the game was well received by critics at the time. On a technical front, this was the first game developed for the Sega System 18 arcade board hardware,
I see.
which was the successor to the Sega System 16 hardware. System 17 was never spoken of.
It's too louder.
And this would go on to power games like Alien Storm. It's the only one mentioned.
Okay. Right.
The game was ported to the big systems of the time, mainly the Amiga, Amstrad, ST, C64, Master System, and the Spectrum. No Sword of Japan, though. No Sword of Japan.
Again, Damn this world.
It's a market being missed. We should go back in time and port these to the Sword of Japan. And there was also a strange sequel of sorts to this on the Mega Drive called Shadow Dancer: The Secret of Shinobi.
Okay,
that secret was. No, it's official. It was Mega Drive, so it's Sega. Right. But it's a completely different game.
Random.
Weird, yeah. Enough of all that, though. What's this Shadow Dancer all about? There's not much in the instructions, but what it says is this. This is in capitals. Those of you who have mastered the martial arts of the ninja, jump and fight your way to victory. That's about bits in capitals, you see. Joe Musashi, that's Sean Connery speak. Joe Musashi, he's a master ninja whose hands and feet are lethal weapons. In the city centre, a group of terrorists are committing every imaginable atrocity known to man. And that's a lot.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's really bad. But including the planting of time bombs throughout the metropolis. That wouldn't be on my list.
No, I mean, that's bad, but every atrocity known to man covers a large spectrum of things.
Absolutely. With his shurikens, ninja stars, shinobi saber, and canine companion, he will be virtually unstoppable. He courageously sets out to gather up all the explosives placed by the evil gang and annihilate the syndicate that manipulates them.
So you're going to do with them all once he's collected them?
I don't know. That's it. However, so this is where it gets interesting because the back of the Master System box, which I found, says this, right? Same game, same thing. Okay. A violent terrorist group is trying to foil a crucial space mission.
What?
You, as Takashi, the noble ninja warrior, attempt to them out using your Death Stars, your mighty sword and ninjutsu magic.
Death Stars?
I don't know. But the back of the C64 box has the following. Master the ninja art, jump and fight your way to victory with Sega's ambitious martial arts game Shadow Dancer, trademark. You are Joe Musashi, Master Ninja. Your hands and feet are lethal. Battle against merciless Street Fighter as you seek revenge for Kato, your loyal student's killing, whilst trying to foil the evil Soros's attempts to obliterate the US shuttle with your shuriken, ninja stars, shinobi saber, and canine companion. Your motto, you are virtually unstoppable. Someone somewhere didn't get a memo, or there was many memos.
Several people didn't get the memo, I think.
All I know from this is you're a ninja with a dog.
Yeah, and clearly ninja stars. I like the way they have to bracket with Death Stars, but it's where they go the shuriken in brackets ninja stars. You're a ninja throwing star shapes. I guess they're ninja stars, but
yeah, but you can't say ninja stars out loud. It'd have to be hero stars back then.
Magic lucky stars over there.
Yeah. Anyway, if you've taken all that in, well done. We can get to the game. So for this, I played a cartridge version. This sped up the multi-load to the game because it's one of those. It was published by US Gold. The conversion is by Images Design, who did The Amazing Spider-Man and Wonder Boy in Monsterland. So they did those. Coding here is by John Williams. You'll recognise him. He did Night Games, Oink, Back to the Future 2, others as well.
And the guitar music for the Deer Hunter.
do 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 do.
That ain't it, but I got it.
In my head, it is. do 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 do. Is it Cantina?
Yeah, Cavatina, yeah. Cantina.
Oh, Cavatina. I've always called it Cantina.
End communication.
It's Cantina, isn't it?
Cantina, it goes like this. No, the Cantina, mate.
Absolutely. Do you want your eggs? Cheers, mate. Do, 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 do. Someone just... How'd you like your eggs? Sadly.
That film has been ruined now. Ruined.
Can you pass me the Cantina? Do, do, do. The graphics are by Chris Edwards and Steve Bedser. Suits you, who have seen before on various games, and the music is by Neil Crossley. Again, we see him pop up last week, I think.
We did.
When the game loads, we get a nice image of a ninja throwing a fart at you. Ha!
I thought it was like pocket sand.
It's
Damn my cycloptic ways, that really hurts.
The weird thing is that image is not the normal image for the start of Shadow Dancer. Every other version has the proper image, but the C64 one's going, hey!
The wangy image.
Yeah, it's like, taste my fart. It's, ninja.
He cupped it, didn't he? He definitely fired in his hand, cupped it, and then threw it out. That's a classic. Classic way.
The music's okay here. It's quite arcade-like. We get a nice sequence showing the various stages of the game with some nicely dithered images. Lots of dithering in those images. So much dithering.
Oh, very dithered.
to go with them. So the game itself is made up of 5 sections, each containing 3 levels. I'll go through them in a bit. It's a nice intro to the game, this. It's a nice front-end sequence. It shows that there has been some thought and effort put into this, at least at this stage.
At the beginning.
Yeah, they could have just slapped some crappy title screen on it like we saw with Line of Fire, but no. There's a solid attempt here at a good front end, and it works well. So if you press fire, it takes us to another title screen, different tune on it, which is weird. And the credits for the game, and this loops with a high score table. And then you press fire again, this starts the game proper. So at this point, things are looking up. This does a good job of emulating the start of the arcade game. It's got like the UI slides on across the bottom with a nice effect. This shows how many bombs are left to collect. Remember, so the point of the game is to collect these bombs throughout the levels. Yeah. How many ninjas you've got left, so your lives, the timer for the level. It's got your ninja's face in the middle. There's a score and a number of magics left to use. After this, the rest of the screen, a sort of blue screen door slides on, and it's a different color to the arcade, but it's very similar to the arcade. It's it's like a Japanese screen door comes.
Yeah, it's a good transition effect.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's straight out the arcade. So that slides off, and we're treated to the first level. So the areas that our ninja must go through are Shadow Dancer. The first one's in Airport, where he faces off against. So it's normal enemies, people shooting at you, throwing stars, whatever you have. At the end of this, there's a giant warrior for the third level you've got to kill. Then, after we get through the airport, there's the supply route, which is on the back of a train. At the end of that, it looks like we actually face off against the train, which is weird.
Maybe you do.
Then onto the enemy's industrial units. Nothing says excitement like industrial units. I always love that in a game. Where you end up by fighting a large woman who throws metal doors at you. Before we head into the underground caves, where you eventually fight a large caveman. For the 5th area, it takes us to the shuttle launch, and we face off against the final boss, whoever that is, Sauros or whatever. After each boss, and just like in Shinobi, you get a bonus level. And this bonus level in this one is ninjas jumping down a building at you. And you must move your hand at the bottom of the screen, left and right, and take them out with Death Stars or Ninja Stars or whatever the hell they're called, for shooting upwards. Survive this wave if you can for massive bonus points. Straight out of the arcade game. It's got all the elements to the arcade. It has the full arcade game here. That's good. Those parts are good. Controls for the game are standard: left and right to walk, up to jump, down to crouch. The levels are same as the arcade game, and we've seen in things like Shinobi, Rolling Thunder, and multi-levels. So you need to hold fire and then press up or down to jump to the platform above or below you.
Yeah.
Tapping fire throws your shurikens. And tapping spacebar unleashes your ninja magic. Which I don't know, sort of thing. After that title screen, I'm not quite sure what he's unleashing. You've also got your dog, remember? So when you are near an enemy who you can't get to, because some of them are in awkward places that you can't sort of get to, like they're laying down and stuff. If you hold down the fire, this will send the dog after them, and the dog will sort of jump on them, and they'll sort of wrestle with the dog for a little bit, and allows you to shuriken the death and then proceed past them. So it's kind of handy. Again, straight like the arcade game. The only time these controls change for the bonus rounds, as said, when it's just left and right and fire. The game itself is linear. You make your way generally from left to right, although at times you do need to go up and down, and sometimes it is right to left as well, but mainly left. You kind of got the left to right. It's a typical arcade game of the time. You simply need to keep on progressing through the levels, finding the bombs, making it through in order to succeed. Basic arcade logic, and that's it, really, and that's fine sort of thing. So after all, this is any good? No. For various reasons, which I will now get into. Let's start with the pace, or the lack of it. This is deathly slow.
So slow.
So one of the things we praised Shinobi for was its pacey gameplay. It's fast. I went back and played it again, and it is fast, and it's decent. But whereas that was pacey, this is a slow stroll through a park on a Sunday afternoon. I can only imagine he's got a Walkman on, listening to "That's Why I'm Easy." Oh, as he's mooching along. It's ambling entertainment. It's interminably slow to get anywhere. The fast pace, and I played the arcade game again. I had a look at that on MAME. The fast pace of that arcade game, it's just been thrown out the window. This makes the game incredibly dull, really, really boring. It's exacerbated the fact there's no music. So we did criticize Shinobi for that, but at least the pace of that helped. Here, you've got a slow game and quiet. That's never a good combo. No. So, just So just what you want. This is what you want from your fast-paced ninja games. It's also ugly, I thought. Rubbish sprites that I didn't think were very good. Backdrops throughout, which and the backdrops didn't really help to liven things up. The game is in medium res. All the sprites have a big black outline to them, making them look unpleasant. There's something wrong about the whole thing. It just doesn't look good. Enemies are annoying and sparse, and they manage to be annoying and sparse. That's quite a combo. They respawn if you need to go backwards, which is bloody annoying. And as you react so slowly, they're able to shoot you with little chance of avoiding their shots. As your jump is floaty and rubbish, it's like, just crap. It's like when you're, if anyone's ever, and you have, if you've basically done the sort of basic sort of jump code in Unity, it's like that crappy jump that Unity has without any tweaking or anything. This is then made worse by the one thing they maintain from the arcade game, which is one hit and you're dead. And it's all the way back to the beginning of the level to slowly trudge through the same boring and annoying enemies again in the hope that you might make it to the exit. I mean, that's the same as the arcade. It annoyed me in the arcade, but the arcade game is fast and pacey and it doesn't take long to actually get to the end of the level. Here, it's slow and boring and interminable. And if you die, you're back to the beginning and it's slow. It's still slow. It's still boring. It's still interminable. It's just deadly annoying. So you can jump in between levels. It's floaty. And because it's slow, you get shot. It's so hard to time the jump because if someone's shooting, like the very first guy on the level you get to, you have to jump up, he's shooting. The timing to get yourself up and over that thing and land and duck under the bullet is so arbitrary because of it's just crap. The bosses, whilst big and well grown, are boring shuriken sponges with few frames of animation and boring attack patterns.
Yeah, true.
And what this all comes down to is the fact that playing Shadow Dancer again, the proper version, the arcade version on MAME, it's not a particularly good game. It's not. There's something. I can see why this was the end of the series. If I'm perfectly honest, I think they thought the dog was a good idea, and the whole thing just doesn't really work properly. I don't, So I played this. I played the Master System version, which is much more like the arcade version. I played the weird Mega Drive game. They all have the same issues. Instant deaths back to the beginning. It's maddening. You're playing this, and it's like just getting anywhere is just a pain in the ass. The only decent part of this is the in-between shuriken throwing bits, which are rather good. They are pretty decent. If you kill a boss, they're actually, they're fast and pacey. It's like, I don't know what happens to the rest of the game. But as getting there means you have to trudge through the boring levels beforehand, that reward is simply not worth it. I've said it already. It's dull. It's boring to play. Being a ninja should not be boring. I think we've said this before about certain things. Being a ninja should be cool. And while there are some nice technical aspects of this at times, like the parallax scrolling on the train level and the fact that it's all there and the dithering, it's got all the levels of the arcade. It cannot hide the source material was not that great. It got by on pace and looks and kind of a bit of a feel. When you rip all that away again and you make it into some slow, boring plotathon, you get a bland, grey experience. You get a boring thing. That this scored 7% more than Swiv is one of, it's a mystery.
It's a great mystery.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. This is so boring. So boring. I thought this was going to be quite decent. Looked at the screenshots, I was all right, sort of thing. But as soon as my ninja came sauntering on, it's like he's in Oasis. Like, he's got that walk.
Yeah.
And the dog's just there. It's just, it's all there, but you don't want it to be all there because it takes ages to get through and it's just not very good and not very enjoyable to play. So 83%, not a cat and else chance. This is too dull, too boring, too ploddy to be enjoyable. I did not like it. What did you think?
This. I mean, firstly, right, okay, let me just establish something. Ninjas don't walk around with dogs. Right? They don't do that because it's not very stealthy, generally. Dogs aren't known for their amazing stealth abilities. No, they tend to be quite obvious that you've got a dog with you. What's that? It's a dog. Oh, are you a ninja? Well, I am, yeah. It turns out I'm a ninja with a dog. But, okay, this is attack mode ninjaing, isn't it? But it isn't, is it? Because he's not dancing, is he, in the shadows? He is just plodding along, taking his time. Even the dog walks slow, and that dog could walk quicker. It's just when you start the game, he does that sort of slow walk on. It's like he can't be bothered, and that's exactly how I felt about this game instantly. I was like, oh, you know what? If he can't be bothered, neither can I. So I'm plodding along, getting shot at and annoyed because I just got shot instantly because the bullets travel way faster than I can move and avoid. Desperately tried to get into the game, but not really getting very far because of that fact. It's just really unpleasant. I thought that, unlike you, I thought the music was just horrible. The second bit of the music after the first intro bit, the first intro music is an abomination that needs to be erased. It's just horrible. But the second one was okay. It was more, that was a bit more arcade-ish, but still a bit on the shrill end of arcade, okay. But the game, oh my gosh. After all that front end, which kind of sold me on something, I had hopes.
Yeah, I'd
built up hopes. And then when the interface slid on, the UI, I thought I still had hopes. I'm like, and then the blocky monstrosity sprite sort of sauntered into view on this weird pastel color background with really odd dithering on things and, odd outlined sprites that sort of made no sense. And I guess it's a dog, but it could be a fox. It could be a cat. What the bloody hell is that thing? It's animal shaped. And the only reason I knew it was a dog really is because I knew that the game featured a dog. So he's wandering along. He's not very well animated. The dog isn't particularly well animated. The enemies just sort of running from the right hand side and don't really get involved in much of anything. It's boring, badly realized, and fundamentally quite depressing because of that. The game about ninjas shouldn't be like depressing. I kind of just found myself thinking, oh, this is the last game of the series, and thank God. I know, it give me the bleaks, and I'm guessing it got its 83% stupid score because it's US Gold, and they paid a lot of money to advertise in a magazine at that time.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. This game is nowhere near 83%, and the fact that it's $10.99 is also just showing you that it's a rip-off. Now, this was a popular arcade. I can't think of reasons why, because like you, I've played it and thought, it was all right, I guess, but it was nothing special. It certainly wasn't anything that made me think, you know what, I really want to play that again. Only this time, I wanted to slow the pace down so much that it's almost like he's moonwalking forwards and make the controls really unresponsive and the overall game dull and boring with pastel backgrounds that are colour. And the colour's so stupid in this. It's horrible. No. Something went badly wrong during all of this. And all the other versions that I've seen are better than the C64 one in most of the ways. Certainly, this is now competing really with consoles of the time, and they're all better. So This is clearly didn't have a lot of attention and thought put into the game itself. Maybe that front end got all the love, and after that they were like, what about the game? It's just too busy for that. Can't be bothered.
I don't know why you'd look at Shinobi and go, okay, we need that pace again, just with the dog on screen.
Yeah, it's not like there's loads on the screen to slow it down, is there? I mean, goodness me, it just is slow. I mean, it's just a slow ninja. It's a slinger. Not good on that. Not a good thing. No, I had no fun with this game whatsoever. I didn't buy into it, and I thought it got progressively worse and worse and worse to the point when I happily turned it off, which is, not really want to be about a game, is it? But unfortunately, that's where I ended it. My relationship with Shadow Dancer ended with me going, "You're crap," and turning it off. So I actually said it out loud as well, which made my wife, who was in the office at the time that we share, go, "What, you what?" So I think she was wondering what I was referring to.
My partner must think the same thing, because sometimes I'm like, "Oh God, this is crap. What is this?"
Yep.
Yeah.
So, It wasn't, oddly enough, it was the beginning of the times that I said it in the space of about 45 minutes. Strange enough.
Yeah,
it was coming out a lot, and then all of a sudden the words got a lot more sweary. So we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, Shadow Dancer, no thanks, get lost. No, it was just rubbish. It's the way of the US Gold Arcade conversion, hasn't it been? Most recently, all of them have been pretty crap, and this is just another. Well, not pretty crap, very crap in this instance. So this should have been in the 30% for me, if even there, 30, 40
just
tops.
All that front end is nice, and I mean the guy, obviously John Williams can code and stuff like that, but he's just forgot to. Can you up the frame rate a little bit? No.
I suspect this is exactly what US Gold paid him to make, and by that I mean he's a very capable person. But they went, right, you got 3 weeks, and here's $2,000, and this is what you get for 3 weeks and $2,000 of someone's time.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right. Who knows?
They paid him for what this is, and he gave them what they wanted. So
yeah, it's not very good. There we go.
Lip service.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Dancer as well, playing it as well. It's not as good as things like Rolling Thunder. It's not as good as Shinobi.
Just go back and play any of those or anything. Well, within reason, but it's not that.
Yeah, you want something like this? Go play Green Beret. That's always still the go-to.
Yeah. What was that other one? Midnight. No, what was the other one that we played?
Midnight Resistance. Yeah, Midnight Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good one. Not
there
this.
You go. Not this. No, not this. That Shadow Dancer, because it should have stayed in the shadows. It certainly can't dance. Let's move on, because I'm sure the next game will be picking us up by the lapels and making us well happy. Let's see, shall we? Graham, I know you've always secretly wanted to be a rugby coach. Tell us all about it.
For God's sake, this, honestly. Right, okay. So this is published by Cult Games.
Oh, no. I've seen them before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have seen them before. Do you remember they brought us Striker and World Cup, the footballer, league football
God.
and cup football and so many sports simulations that I actually lost count. There's snooker. Most sports have been done by these guys. I say done. Well, they've made a game of it. So this is Rugby Coach. It was $2.99. It got 21% in Zap, which is very high for a game of this type.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this. So, firstly, let me set the scene. So, rugby then. Rugby is a fast-paced, full-contact team sport played with an oval ball, or a hand egg, as we like to call it sometimes, but that's more American football. The two teams of 15 players in rugby union or 13 players in rugby league compete to carry, pass, and kick the ball to score points. The primary way to score is by grounding the ball in the opponent's in-goal area for a try. Players can only pass the ball backwards, but can advance by running or kicking. The opposing team defends by tackling ball carriers to stop their progress. The game features scrums, lineouts, rucks, and mauls to contest possession, and points can also be scored through goal kicks. That's a summary of rugby.
Sounds exciting.
It does, and I'm giving you that rundown because this game bears no relation to that whatsoever. None.
Oh,
The only relation it has to that is the fact that it says the word rugby on it.
yeah.
And that's as close as they actually got. Now, contrary to their claims that this game features 2 divisions, 20-player squads, Regal Cup, Cup challenges, and then it says features backs, half-backs, forwards. They're the players of rugby, so it would have to feature them, wouldn't it? Speed, strength, tackling, passing, fitness, age, injuries, birthdays, retirements. It's featuring, this is a list of stupid shit that it features. No, these aren't features. Okay. This is just mostly what happens during the general running and passing of a sport, any sport. And it says in their blurb, Rugby Coach is an exciting management strategy computer game. This is all lies, by the way. Which tries, spelt TRYS. That annoyed me beyond anything I can explain, AD. Because not only is it, if they try to do a bad pun, it's the wrong spelling anyway. And if it isn't, they spelt it wrong anyway. So it's just doubly bad. Tries to simulate, and the fact that they put in their own description, it tries to simulate the sport of rugby league. It is your job, starting as manager of a second division team. So it's not Rugby Coach, it's Rugby Manager. Okay, we're losing it a bit. To create a squad that will win the leagues and both cups. No idea what those cups really are, but okay. Can you make all the right managerial decisions on the pitch as well as off to succeed in this tough contact sport? No, because you can't do any of those things in this game. None of them. The rest of the instructions are a succession of keyboard press descriptions and abbreviations for things, which are their abbreviations. So things like SSTP, that's speed, strength, tackling, and passing to you and me. But you'd need the instructions to know that. And the controls in the match, which I'll come to. So do you know what? This is so utterly bad. This isn't going to take long. You start the game by picking your team out of one of 16 teams. That is Leeds, Wigan, Widnes, Hull, St Helens, Castleford, Bradford, Wakefield, Harrington, Featherstone, Sheffield, Hull, Kingston Rovers, Oldham, Salford, Barron, and Lee. You remember them. Whitman, Price, and Haddad. So I picked St Helens. And by the way, all this is text-based with just text on a screen. Blue screen, like a cyan blue screen with black text. And it just says, which team would you like? So you press your number. Then it says, you are manager of St Helens. You are manager. All right, I am manager. Okay.
You are manager.
You are manager. I thought you were coach. Why didn't it say you are coach of the St Helens rugby team? Anyway, then it says press any key. Press any key. Then it just says skill level 2. Enter preferred skill level.
1 to 9 or something.
It's 1 easy to 10 hard. Okay, so I put in, I selected 2 because it was already pre-selected for me. Maybe St Helens are obviously a 2 of difficulty that we need to know. Then it just came up with a screen that said transfers out news. No idea what that means. It was just blank other than that. And then press any key, which I promptly did. Then you get to the Rugby Coach main menu system. From here, you can select all the different options using key presses on the keyboard. This is fully keyboard controlled. There is no sound or music in this game whatsoever.
Nope.
So on this green background with black text and a light blue Rugby Coach text at the top, which is just don't do that. Don't do that. You are in season 1, week 1, which is at the bottom. You can select team, then you've got, and it's S for select and I for in transfers, M for match stats, F for fixtures, T for tape games. Because it does ask you right at the beginning if you want to load a tape game, and I forgot to mention that. So you can save your progress, not that you'd want to.
No.
You can see continue game, and it's got E, extra details, O for out transfers, L for league table, B for bank screen, H for history page, and C for continue game. So you've got 2 C's for continue. So the idea of this game then is obviously to pick a team and take it through the league or the cups as they rightly appear, I guess. So from here on in, every screen you select is just a massive table of stats. and names and numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I selected, went to select team, and it just brought up a massive screen of names and player positions and numbers and metrics on a yellow background, with some of it with white text on. White's really hard to read when it's on yellow. And so there was a bunch of names: Mark Dixon, Dave Davis, Gary Mills. That did make me laugh. Rich Grant, Andy Howe, Gary Owen, Paul Booth, Mark Clark, Luke Grant. All these, maybe they're rugby player names for the St. Helens. I have no idea. Who knows? Who cares? And then there's some statistics which are not explained anywhere really, not even in the instructions, of which they are tiny on an inlay tape. This was a tape game. And then you can either S for swap, K for kicker, M for menu, or R for ratings. If you press R for ratings, it highlights some of them in red. And if you press K for kicker, it highlights your kicker in red. And if you press swap, nothing happens whatsoever. And then you press M to go back to the menu, and you're back to the Rugby Coach menu. Then you can choose the other things. So you can look at your various league tables and things like that, and it's going to give you the idea of where they are. You can look at your fixtures. It's going to tell you which games you've got coming up. To actually get to the actual rugby game, such as it is, you have to press C to continue, and then it will start the first game in your league, and it will say, league match number 1, press any key. At this point, it's a green background again, but with red text at the bottom, which is also hard to read.
Yep.
So then you're into the game and you think, hey, okay, maybe there's some redeeming feature about this. There isn't. It's more text on the screen. So on the left-hand side, you've got it's just a list of stuff. Left-hand side, how many subs you've got. It says tactics, norm. You can choose between, I think, 4 tactics: norm, drop, risk, and slow. Now, why anyone would choose to play slow, I don't know, but you can. On the right-hand side, there's a little rugby pitch graphic. It's just a H on a line and then another white line underneath it. I wasn't sure really what on earth it was until a little player sort of sprite thing appeared. This tiny little one character player appeared at one point. And this was so the game had started. I didn't even realize. And then there was a time in the middle, it said time, 5 minutes. And it just came up with T for try or G for goal. I was like, goal? And it just went, you have failed. You have not scored. And the time ran on. And then it was just like, by this point, Hull Kingston Rovers, who I was playing at this point, had already got 8 points. I'm like, when did that happen? I wasn't even notified. And then it just came up with T try, G goal. I was like, okay, I'll go for a try. You have failed your try. And then at this point, we were sort of 20 minutes in, and Hull Kingston Rovers were now 60 points up. I'm like, okay, I'm getting trounced here. Maybe I should change tactic. So I went to press D for drop. Didn't do anything. So R for risk, didn't do anything. S for slow, didn't do anything. And then by this point, Hull Kingston Rovers had scored again, and then it came up with T try, G goal. I was like, try? Sorry, you have failed. So this just went on. And then underneath that, there's the latest scores. So there's latest scores for the other teams in the fixtures list. So obviously you get an idea of who's beating who. And that's it. The game ended. Hull Kingston Rovers viciously kicked St. Helens' butt after, it's expedited play. So the game goes for 80 minutes, but it actually is about, 4 or 5 minutes in total. But it is just 5 minutes of staring in silence at a screen that periodically just says T for try and G for goal. And that's it. And the timer goes up in sort of jumps, and then all you see is their score increase. Now, after that, you get a brief rundown of the team finances for the game. So you get told the attendance, the gate receipts and costs. And I made a £700 loss. Like, okay. And then it came up with my League Division 2 stats, and it told me that I was at the bottom of the league. I was like, all right, thanks for that. And then it was back to the menu again. Oh, no, sorry. There was a brief interlude where it says, and it said that crazy thing that said at the start, where it said transfers out news, and nothing happened. Okay, so I'm not going to go into anymore. The idea of this is you're meant to be coaching a rugby team. This is very far from that. It's pretty easy to state that this is absolutely, utterly rubbish. A dreary walkthrough, a series of single key press screens in total silence. It also has the honour of being the most depressing thing I've ever played. So bleak. I mean, I thought, we've had games where you're staring at nothing, but goodness me, I mean, this is literally nothing. You're just sort of looking at a timer. And, yeah, I think it is because
the long distance goalkeeper.
it's the same idea. Nothing's happening on this screen other than a timer which doesn't go up like 1, 2, 3, just jumps, and then it just all of a sudden the people that you're playing against just score wildly, and you're like, what? Ow! And you've got no way of controlling any tactics or anything. There's no indication of anything to do with any players. Nothing. There is nothing. Nope. Now, look, it's so you pick a team, check in on the meaningless stats, and then you get to watch a full screen of text for about 5 minutes. That's it with this game. There is literally nothing coaching. There's no coaching. What are you coaching? Rugby is an exciting sport, and I imagine coaching a rugby team is pretty supremely challenging and probably very rewarding and probably quite interesting to do if you're into it. In this dreary piece of shit, they have managed to A, display no rugby whatsoever, and B, offer no actual coaching, which makes the title Rugby Coaching so much of a lie. So much of a lie. This isn't simulating anything. Indeed, there is so little to get behind in this game, it defies belief. If I think of games like 4th and Inches, Monday Night Football, and Super Bowl 20, I mean, obviously that's American football, but they are fundamentally in this ballpark, excuse the pun. And there's no excuse in 1991 to have a boring text menu-based piece of crap like this, offering notions of coaching anything. No, the minimum it could have is rugby players on it. I mean, how many sports games have we seen that can do that? So many. This is just ridiculous. Now, even if you took that aside and said, well, this is a simulation, it isn't, because it's not simulating anything. You've got no control over anything. All you can look at is stats for players that mean nothing. You can't do anything with them or train them or do anything meaningful in that way. Games just happen and stuff happens maybe. Now, so much of this game remains divorced from rugby that it actually defies belief even to think about it. When you do start that match, like I said, you're literally looking at some stats and a timer, and you've got 2 controls, T or G. I mean, how much more basic can you possibly get? Yep. There's no strategy or any way to do anything out of that, and there's no actual sport, and there's no rules around it. In fact, I had a feeling that this was just a modified version of one of the other crap sports coaching games, maybe a football one.
Of course it is.
Like The Footballer. So you've got no idea of what's happening, what anything means, or what any notion of what's going on. Nor is this game linked to the sport it represents, nor is it about rugby, nor is there anything to do with coaching. They've just got a football game, rammed some rugby teams in it and rugby player stats, and then fudged together a mini variation of the crappy interface from one of the games. It is just shockingly bad. I mean, like I said, stuff just happens and you get to read about it on the screen now again. That's the best you could say about this gameplay. All of their lies in their instructions are meaningless. None of that is in this. This is so utterly reprehensible because it is a rip-off. You're just ripping off rugby fans. And let me tell you, rugby fans aren't the kind of people I'd want to piss off like this. You know, they can act, they tend to be big dudes, some of them. So there's nothing here for rugby fans, absolutely nothing for anybody. It's one of the worst sports simulations I have ever seen in my life. And I don't even like them. So let's tell you, I mean, even I have sympathy for people. It's so devoid of content and purpose that the only good thing that can come from buying this game is that you have, by doing so in your own way, prevented somebody else from buying it. So you can say that. Just an unashamed rip-off and a reminder, really, that even in the budget world, still, there are very dubious practices out there. This should have scored 0 with that because it is a worthless piece of shit. Did you get anything from coaching the rugby team?
Well, just before I say what I think, I'm just going to read you a counterpoint to your criticism, Graham. I'm going to read you a paragraph of text. Okay. And it just goes like this. It says, Rugby Coach isn't the best management game, but is typical of the high standard of budget simulation games released by Cult. It offers a lot of new features and is very simple and very gripping to play. If it wasn't for the bugs, it could well have been worth a full price tag. 4 stars out of 5.
Who's put that?
Your Commodore.
Yeah, idiots.
But that's what they said. They said it's ace. No, it's crap, isn't it? The excitement of managing Castleford or St Helens in text form. Good Lord. Tediousness personified.
Not even good text form.
No, who wanted this? I mean, in 1991, when you could be playing Swiv or so many other games, who wanted a Rugby Coach sim in text form? Who? Who was asking for this?
Exactly that.
Moving from screen to screen in silence, looking at a load of stats on different coloured backgrounds, watching a boring representation of a game with no real input bar pressing some keys to change strategy that don't do anything and no real way to watch the game bar some boring lines of text. Pointless. Utterly pointless. Unlike the first game I got, because I had the same thing as you sort of thing. I played Hull Kingston Rovers. I was Castleford and got battered about 88 or something like that.
Same. Yeah, but I bet it was the exact same score that you and I got, funnily enough.
Yeah, probably.
We had that with one of their other crappy Cult games, didn't we, if you think about it? Where we both got, weirdly, the exact same sequence of things happened. We were like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I think it's just programmed to be that way. Now maybe there are, and according to your Commodore review, there are some proper ruggerheads out there who found this a deep and immersive sim, but I don't think so.
No way. Bullshit, no way.
The rugby people I knew at university, which is the last time I really knew anybody, when I was at university all those years ago, 30 years ago, they would have looked at this and just pissed on it. Yeah,
I mean, when I played American football, and we used to knock about with the rugby lads. Those guys would they invented the tactical chunder so they could drink more. They invented that. These guys don't mess about.
Yeah, they're not going to be wanting this. This is crap from top to bottom. And I've written the same thing. Probably just a reskinned Football Manager game that Cult have already put out. Shite.
Yep,
just awful. Just dreadful. £3 for this crap. That it got, right. 1 out of 5, 21%. It's too much. It's a 0.
Well, in the inlay for the tape, there's more space taken up with an advert for programmers saying do you want to convert games?
I saw that.
than there was for the actual instructions for rugby, which you kind of need the basics of what you're doing.
Well, the point is sort of thing you don't, because there's no need to know anything about rugby here.
Yeah, true.
Because rugby is not what this game is about. It's about some boring stats.
It is, yeah. I mean, just think even if you just took the basics of something like speedball, I mean, it's not like, you don't even have to make it that fast, but the idea is that you could have a graphic version of rugby quite easily. I don't get why you wouldn't.
This could be anything. This could be polo.
Basketball. Yeah.
This could be basketball, handball, football. Could be any lacrosse, anything.
We know we're giving them ideas through the time transfer.
Yeah. Their entries on Lemon 64 are growing by the day.
All of a sudden, we'll see lacrosse coach.
To be fair, I would be the cross coach if they made me play that shit.
Oh, rubbish. Yeah.
Awful. Yeah, that was dreadful. What a boring first half to this game, to this episode, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right. We knew it would be, though. The merry month of May, remember?
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, listening to us be so bored has been more entertaining for you lot, but it's been really
when we say we play the game so you don't have to, please take our advice on those two.
Yeah, don't waste your time. They're not very good.
No, don't.
We're gonna go away, take a break, liven ourselves up a little bit, hopefully.
Yes.
We're gonna listen to some music, come back, tell you what was going on in the charts for the albums and singles for May 1991. See you in a moment. And we're back. It's time to get into some music. There's the singles. Number one, all month, Graham. We talked about it last week or last time. It is the Shoop Shoop song. It's in His Kiss. All month.
Now, I didn't realise that how because obviously I was annoyed and still am that it was renamed the Shoop Shoop song because it's actually called It's in His Kiss. However, I didn't realise how many times that song has been covered, and I can tell you it is loads.
Really?
I mean, we'll put a link to the Wikipedia entry for it because honestly, it's like a sad and sorry history of about 9 million people covering it. Sometimes they're covering it within a few months of each other back in the sort of the busy 50s and around that period. So someone would release a song, and then about 6 weeks later, somebody else would simply release the same song. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. You imagine it now, would you? Anyway, it turns out that it was released by somebody called, I haven't got a first name, but something Everett. It was renamed at that point because somebody else had released a version and they thought they'd get confused. So that's why it was renamed the Shoop Shoop song. So the version that you got 6 weeks later after the other version wasn't to be, confused with it. So that's why it's got several different names. But you'd be surprised at the list of people that have covered it. Loads of them. And it's not even that good a song, but there you go.
Including Cher. I wonder how many has people gone on to keep covering it? Has it been more covers since the Cher one?
You would be surprised how many times it's been covered, and by artists. Metallica have done it. They haven't really.
Shoop Shoop.
If you want to know,
it's in His Kiss.
It'd be Kiss, sir. You got to get the air in
Kiss,
there. So Betty
Shoop,
Everett was
Shoop
the version.
song.
Betty Everett.
Anyway, albums. Number one albums. Eurythmics were number one still for the first 3 weeks. A big selling album, wasn't it? Clearly.
It was good. I listened to it the other day, actually, because I was wondering how good it was, and it turns out good. The first, I'd say CD, but the first CD's worth of tracks.
Your first chunk of tracks. Your classic Eurythmics.
The second half, not as classic, I would say. We get into a bit of the weird Eurythmics territory, but Sweet Dreams and all of those ones, well, you can't go wrong.
No. Replacing that for the last week of the month was Seal, with Seal.
Yes. It's a debut album, isn't it, from Seal? Self-titled, I guess.
Debut,
it's not really self-titled, is it? Is it because it classed that? Because that's not his name, is it? So I don't know. Is it his name?
I guess I don't think it's
his moniker.
Yeah, absolutely. Seal. It's got singles on it: Crazy, Future of Paradise, Beginning, Killer, Violet.
Yeah, it's a good album, actually. To be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly listening to it. I'm sure it's great. Whatever. Singles. Let's get into singles. 5th of May. In at number 26 is "Fading Like a Flower" by Roxette.
Oh, classic Roxette. It just power ballad
sounds like
from
Roxette.
them. Yeah, it sounds exactly like Roxette. Now, in this video, Adrian, the backlight was off the chart bright, I think it's safe to say. I thought it was going to set fire to her head.
She looks like she's being beamed up.
It does. I mean, honestly.
Either that or she's been made a saint.
I mean, the backlight is that bright. It's literally turned her hair into neon, which is good going. I mean, she has got like sort of white coloured hair, hasn't she, famously? Singer in Roxette. But I mean, even by anyone's standard, that is like, and I think it's sort of done on purpose a bit like that, exactly for the reason you say, but it looks a bit weird, I think.
It does look a bit weird. That's a crazy picture, but there you go.
Well, it's the beginning of more ballad salad, isn't it, for us?
Oh, very much so. In at number 27 is Anasthasia with T99.
Yeah. The word is rave, isn't it? I hate it. I have to say, this is a crappy KLF imitation for me at best. The orchestral stab sound at the beginning just drives me. I hate it. I hate that sound. Noisy and annoying.
Yep. Nope. I think that's just my comment. Nope.
Yeah.
I was
just honestly.
It wasn't the fastest song I turned off this week, but it was up there with them.
But I know there was a fast. I knew there would be.
There really is. In at number 29 is Dalliance by The Wedding Present.
Not my cup of tea.
No, I didn't think it would be. It's if you ever wanted to know what a melancholy wedding present would be, then here you are.
Yeah. It's dreary, isn't it?
Yeah, I like Wedding Present when they're a bit sort of, up and spiky and but all that kind of like, the fast. This is a bit dull. Yeah, his voice is, his voice works in those kind of pop punky stuff, punky style. Some, but not here, I don't think. In number 30 is A Message to Your Heart by Samantha Janus.
Janus. She prefers to be called.
I don't know. I mean, I only knew her from. I forgot she'd done this. I only knew her from that sitcom Game On in the mid-90s.
She was in EastEnders as well.
She was, wasn't she? But I just remember from that. I don't never watched EastEnders really. And obviously, an unfortunate rhyming slang name, whichever. But she's actually known as she's married. She's married to Matt Womack now. She's a Womack.
She's one of the Womacks.
Yeah,
she went full Womack.
She did.
It was the Eurovision Song Contest entry for us in 91, which came 10th. So that's not great, is it? And also, there's a version we'll put in the show notes, which is of the version she sang on the actual Eurovision. I can tell you there's a reason why we didn't win. I mean, no disrespect to poor Miss Janus or Miss Janice. He says Janice, doesn't he, when he introduces her? But she's off key badly all the way through, and to the point when he sings, it's actually cringing listening to it because it's like it's so out of tune and off key. It's like, oh my, I felt sorry for her. She looks a bit like a lamb to the slaughter, and it wasn't very nice. So bless her. I don't know how she managed to make a career out of not doing that, which is probably a good thing. So.
Yeah, not singing. She went and became an actress.
Yeah, and good actress too. Yeah.
Yeah. In at number 34 is Baby Baby by Amy Grant. I remember this song. I remember this being quite a big hit at the time. It's just,
it was a big hit.
I don't want to remember it, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
baby,
just she had such a massive hat in that video. It was massive. I mean, I'm sure she's.
Sorry, go on.
She stole it off Abraham Lincoln, I think. It's like a big.
Well, I just thought she took
hat.
The material from the woman we'll see later on with the tiny hat.
Yeah, because that is like
you
a
put
miniaturized
them two together
version
and
of
you
the
got
same
two proper hats.
You would. But yeah, just what a dreary. Well, at the time it was Baby. Yeah, it was a big hit, but I always thought it was really just. It's either noisy, dancey, loud, aggressive shit, or interesting stuff in the indie charts. But in the chart, it just became like, we're getting to more blandcore. It's like the harsh return of blandcore with
Black
an MOR twist. Oh, there's so much black and white. This is the black and white episode, isn't it? So many black and white videos. I was getting bored of that.
Boring games, boring videos. This might be
colour,
the most boring episode we ever record.
I know, bloody more black and white videos. And someone got the idea that it made them look classy, and it doesn't.
No, it just makes you look like you've forgot to do the white balance properly.
Exactly that.
In at number 36 is Devil's Toy by Almighty.
This bloody thing. A video that costs 20 quid in a packet of crisps.
Cheese crisps.
Yeah, cheese. Bad cheese.
Bad cheese crisps.
Absolutely. Bad cheese crisps.
Absolutely.
And the gig in it, look, they're performing on a stage in front of about 30 people. It didn't sell it to me, this. It was like, they looked like not many showed up.
Yeah, it's so sweaty as well. They're very sweaty.
Really sweaty.
It's just which is sweaty odd. And horrible.
It's the lights. Clearly, they've got very bright lights on. Goodness me, it's so crap.
I know. Half those 30 people aren't even looking at the stage, I think I noticed.
No, but I noticed a lot of love for it on YouTube. A lot of people in the comments saying how great it was.
Always is.
Oddly, they were all members of the band, but there you go. Supposedly.
Most songs you'll see sort of thing have love for them. It's like you read the comments and it's like best tune ever. It's like no,
anyone joining me here from 2023? It's like, oh really? How did you find your way to this?
And at
Chaos
number
Theory.
30, and at number 39 is You're in Love by Wilson Phillips.
Ah, yes, Wilson Phillips. Yes.
It's so boring.
I only noticed for the first time they are the female Bee Gees, aren't they?
That's a good call, actually. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I could see that. Just so dull. Just lacking in any kind of life.
Yeah, I mean, and the video black and white again, wasn't it? With very harsh tonally, and I'm thinking that I got the impression they were trying to hide something in that video.
Don't know what. Who knows?
I don't know. Something about the the women in the band. But anyway, boring. It's boring song. So boring.
Yeah, boring. And at number 41 is Take It by Flowered Up.
Oh God, this. It's crap. I mean, just round it up and put it back into the landfill from which it crawled. It's awful. Just call them. I mean, they're so derivative of that sound. Call them the Merry Tuesdays and be done with it.
Yeah, true. The Manchester bandwagon groans on.
Doesn't it? Just, I mean, they've got a Bez. They've got Baz. This is their version, isn't it? Because it's the guy shaking the maracas.
Fez.
That's what I mean. These are the Merry Tuesdays, and they've got Fez. It's unbelievable, but the video and the way they look is just, it's like looking at a crap tribute band.
Singer Corn Trider.
It's exactly Corn Trider. That's exactly who they are. Corn Trider and Fez. in the Merry Tuesdays.
Who's gonna stood on me?
Exactly. Oh, they're twisting my whatever, man. It's just crap.
Twisting my apples.
Definitely twisting my apples. Get rid of them.
In at number 68 is Unconditional Love by Susanna Hoffs.
Yeah, more ballad salad though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The bowl is full this week.
Oh, I told you it was like someone unleashed a demon. As soon as that word got round that Extreme had released a popular ballad, or whoever did that ballad thing, maybe it was Mr. Big, whoever, we don't know for sure who's who pulled the cork out of that genie bottle. But whoever rubbed that lamp and pulled the bottle and the cork, or whatever magic they mustered, it just unleashed upon us a wave, a tsunami of ballads. And there's another one to add to the list. The only exceptional thing about this one is that Susanna Hoffs is just stunning in the video. The rest of it, not so much. And it did look like she was at Cleethorpes Seafront, which is nice that she went a bit local.
Yeah, absolutely. Very meaningful and black and white and boring.
It was black and white again, wasn't it? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, another one. I thought for a minute my monitor had broken. I'm like, what is...
I just bought it. I just bought this.
Banging on it. Go colour immediately.
12th of May at number 3 is Gypsy Woman, la da dee, la da da, la da dee, la da da by Crystal Waters. This song, hate it. God damn this episode. I want to be happy about something.
My question, I mean, I didn't even need to listen to it. As soon as you don't. As soon as I saw it was Gypsy Woman, Crystal Waters, I knew it was that crappy, awful thing. Yep. And I've always hated it. I hated it at the time. I've always hated it. A discordant piece of house shite that needs erasing from the space-time continuum. So that the last thing we hear as it goes into the black hole is la da dee, la da da. That's it, gone forever, erased. Because black holes erase information, it's erased. I bet it's used in Guantanamo Bay. Like that. It's got to be.
That's really dark.
It's got to be, hasn't it? Can you imagine? Just sat there in their cell, la da dee, la da da, stand there singing for money, la da dee, la da da.
I'll tell you anything.
Well, exactly. Please make that stop.
Yeah.
Look, I'll go back to waterboarding. I'd rather have that.
Good Lord. In at number 10, it's Tainted Love featuring Mark Almond, Soft Cell.
There's a best of, isn't there, eminently?
There's a best of in the albums. So it's just because we saw that Say Hello, Wave Goodbye, whatever it was the other week.
We did. Good song. Good song.
I mean, obviously, Tainted Love's a great song. But, it's just that's why it's out. Number 20 is Call It What You Want by New Kids on the Block.
I bet you turned that off quickly, didn't you?
I mean, I was, yes. Yeah.
As soon as the first woo,
I can't take a New Kids on the Block with that sampling.
And that went colour black and white, didn't it? That had moments of black and white in it.
Still had his face in it though.
I know, and it's like the devil, isn't it?
It's like,
it's kind of scary, horrible. That face. It's a scary face, that is.
It'd make a good Joker.
Yeah, well, it's like a live Joker, isn't it? It's just scary. I don't know. It's like it's the sort of thing that it's haunting. That it's quite haunting.
I don't know his name. Jordan,
he reminds me,
whatever.
it's like a young Lon Chaney, isn't it? Went from those early horror movies.
Yeah, that's what it is. The
It's like
song's
a picture
crap,
of Dr.
though, isn't
Jekyll. Well, do you remember that book, that movie sort of horror book that Gary used to have? I can't remember who it was by.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of Lon Chaney as Jack Jekyll or Hyde, whichever it is, and he looked like that.
He did look like that. If you wonder what we're talking about, just go watch the video. And when the one turns up at the beginning in colour with two girls on his side, grinning at the screen, it's horrific.
Yep.
Like the song.
Scary.
Like the song.
Very.
And at number 21 is Success by Danny Minogue.
Oh, God, what is going on? More squeaky fidget pop. It does have a good bassline rhythm section to that, actually. It's a consistent house type rhythm, which is interesting. Everything else isn't, though.
No, meh. No.
And it's stupid dancing. The dances on it made me laugh loads. It's like, I don't know what choreographer was involved. Not a good one. Yeah, none. Just you guys just over there, just dance over there. All right, we're dancing. And they just do that kind of that shuffly dance, but it just honestly looked like someone just raised the electric current in the floor tiles and gone, there we go, that'll get them moving.
It's not the worst dancing we'll see this week, though. Or the most annoying.
It's not. No, it's not.
In at number 25 is RSVP by Jason Donovan.
Poor old Jason Donovan. He is lost in that video, lost in a shipping container yard, it seems to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's lost his shirt buttons. I always feel sorry for him. It might be cold. Do your shirt up, man.
It made me laugh. The weird crap they dress him in. His dressing in the videos up to this point has been getting weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
And the tone of the videos. Remember the last one he was also in a shipping container yard, but he was at the docks, wasn't he? This time he's still trapped there, I'm guessing. Years later, he's just still trapped there.
It's like the kid in The Mouth of Madness. It won't let me out. It won't let me out.
I don't think it did. I mean, he was obviously, it's obvious that he's out his depth there, isn't he? Really, is
it me or he's looking at this point? He's looking too old for this late teenage stuff. He's whatever sort of thing. He's becoming like an older person, and clearly, obviously, he's aging. Everyone ages, but he's too old for what they're trying to sort of push in this nonsense.
Yeah, totally. That he's not. He was a teenage heartthrob, but now he looks like a 20-plus-year-old bloke.
Yeah,
and it's just not fitting in. It's not fitting in with the oeuvre. He hasn't aged like Kylie, and Kylie and the female pop stars tend to age differently in terms of their career for pop. Jason Donovan seems to struggle with that. So, and I'm guessing I actually feel like maybe he's struggling with his record label a bit as well. Certainly with the wardrobe department.
Yeah. In at number 27 is "I Want to Sex You Up" by Colour Me Bad. This was massive. I remember this was all over the place. This song,
huge, absolutely.
I didn't want to hear it because I didn't like it. 'Cause it's not my kind of music, but it was just a big song. I seem to remember.
Yeah, the video was a bit of an odd compilation of weird stuff, But I don't know. I was never I couldn't honestly profess to be a big Colour Me Bad fan. So I heard it everywhere, but it was not going to make me rush out and buy any of their stuff, put it that way.
I think that they just reminded me of like proto bands like NSYNC and things like that,
totally
which would come along.
Totally that. Yeah, totally that.
Those sort of things.
Massive imports or exports from the US that, we were lapping up at this time, and I'm not sure why really, but wasn't my demographic or my music taste. So
no. In at number 31 is "Whenever You Need Me" by T'Pau.
Yeah, getting a bit saucy, aren't they? Getting the full saucy on with this, although it had such weird collection of close-ups in it. It's disconcerting.
Yeah, she's got some odd eye movements as well that freaked me out a little bit. She's glaring into the screen. I'm like, oh, don't like that.
It starts with her walking in a skimpy-ish outfit, I guess, and it's just suddenly a shot of her skirts, and you're like, all right, and then it suddenly pulls back and you sort of full length again. Then all of a sudden it's a shot of her teeth. You're like, all right, whoa, okay. And it just all the way through. It's like,
and it's weird that they're on the side they're on the cupboard. They're on the cupboard on the side in the glass.
Yeah, she didn't want people to know about that, did she?
I just thought this was plod rock.
Yeah, totally is that.
Rock.
Yeah, I never liked T'Pau. I make no secret of that. I never liked T'Pau.
No, they had two good tracks.
Carol Decker was recently on The Masked Singer, so that's where she's ended up.
So they all end up.
What was she? I think she was Bush. Was she Bush? Or was she Chip Pan? I can't remember what she was now, but one of them.
There's a sentence that's never been uttered ever. Was she Bush or was she Chip Pan?
I cannot honestly remember what she was. I don't think there even was a Chip Pan. It just shows you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. You find that out. I'll tell you that number 35, there was "Shiny Happy People" by R.E.M.
She was
Gold.
She was Tattoo, by the way.
Tattoo.
Yeah, she was
all the
somebody
things you
called
said,
Tattoo.
all the things you said.
No, not that
song.
tattoo, not tattoo, but she was called Tattoo, as in a tattoo.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
stupid.
Okay, yeah. So Shiny Happy People, REM's at number 35. Gull is Gold.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows this because this is where, you know, REM broke massive with these singles.
Oh, huge, yeah.
So everyone knows this. You either like this or you probably just go, oh, it's Shiny Happy People. You know,
As soon as you hear that, diddle-oo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and you hear the beautiful voice of Katie Pearson from the B-52s in there going, Shiny Happy People. You're like, oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
I much prefer, do you remember when Chris Morris did a Mickey take of this? And I think it was either on the hour or it was on the hour, where, you know, Day to Day, where they do a version of REM. I forget what they call them, but they sing a song that goes, eat whale meat when you need a treat. Shiny, happy, meaty people. So let's just remember that version more than this one.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, but you know, it's REM. It's probably the best thing we've had so far. Number 36 is Into Tomorrow by the Paul Weller Movement. I don't like that name.
No, sounds like he's on the toilet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Gary Lineker, Paul Weller Movement. That's what he says when he gets
Gary,
somebody.
what have you done?
He looks in the toilet. Oh,
I
it's the
told
Paul
you need
Weller
to shout
movement.
number 2 if you're doing that.
Oh dear, this isn't because I don't like Paul Weller. I find it really boring. Paul, really, really boring. Anything post the Jam, just Style Council.
Yeah,
Anything beyond that, it's just awful, rubbish. Can't be doing with it.
I'm sure it's all very meaningful for people that like it. I'm not one of them, and it's black and white again, which annoyed
Black and
me.
white video again. Yeah,
Yeah,
black and
another
white.
one.
Absolutely. In at number 54 is Nothing Can Stop Us, Speedwell. I think probably a double A side maybe by Saint Etienne.
Yeah,
Saint
I never
Etienne.
got into them. Gary was into them, I think. Seems to
It
recall.
was. I remember at the time quite floating. I mean, the name Saint Etienne would lead that. So I always thought they were a French band at the time, like Air and things like that.
Are they not?
No, they're not. No, I believe they're English. I believe they
Fair
are, but I could be wrong. Maybe I was right all this time, and now I'm doubting myself.
Yeah,
Don't know.
it is floaty. Actually, is a good description of that. I just
Yeah.
never got into it. Never really. I do remember Gary trying to, bringing it round and listening to some of it, and just not really, humouring him more than anything else, and just humming
It's
at
very
him,
good.
singing off key, and throwing him the occasional cracker, and just keeping him entertained.
Absolutely tempting him with the key to his cage
Yeah, exactly.
every now and again.
Every now and again, letting him out.
Promise of release.
Exactly, letting him out. Stretch his legs a bit. Get a drink of water from the bowl.
Tickling him behind the ear. They're putting him back in.
Yeah, that's it. Giving him one of them treats to clean his teeth.
Absolutely. Trying to avoid his giraffe-like tongue.
Ew. God's sake, that's gross.
And at number 69, aptly, is I Touch Myself by the Divinals.
God, yeah. It's a nice song, actually. I remember it for a lot of different reasons, really. It came out of the blue a bit. Interesting Aussie band, weren't they? And I remember it also features, I think it features in I'm sure it's in one of the Austin Powers movies, I think, somewhere.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, it's not subtle, is it? I don't think.
No, not at all. And she was, Chrissy Amphlett was an amazing looking lead singer for that band. Sadly passed away now. She died in April 2013 after a very long battle with breast cancer. She's only 53 as well. Very tragic. Good song,
That is
though.
song. Yeah, saucy.
It was. Very good.
19th of May, and at number 18 is Caught in My Shadow by the Wonder Stuff.
Now, is this band responsible for the giant, the big ukulele comeback of the 90s? Because the ukulele made a bit of a comeback, didn't it? Or whatever that other instrument is.
Yeah,
because
I think they were.
Sort of features heavily in REM's couple of tracks, doesn't it? Well, I think it's more a mandolin, but it's
Is it a mandolin?
Could be a mandolin comeback or a ukulele. Either way, it's one of them.
It's one of them. This song's all right. I mean, it's not great. It's inoffensive, but the best thing about this is the girl at 53 seconds with the Mega City 4 top on. I was like, hey, that's good. That's all I was interested in.
The Girl at 52 Seconds is a great title for a book, though.
The girl at 53 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it would mean, but it is. But yeah, I didn't actually go back and check that, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, there is. I was like, hey, Mega City 4. In at number 23 is Your Swaying Arms by Deacon Blue. What's happened to him?
It's been Frankensteined.
It's weird. He's got his waxwork gone wrong. What's that? You need to watch this video. You're Swaying Arms by Deacon Blue, and then at the beginning he's singing it, but he's gone wrong. Something's happened.
It's like he's turned into Herman Munster.
He really has.
It's quite uncanny. It's really weird. He's been Frankenstein, doesn't he?
Yeah, It's all bad. I mean, it was more interesting than the song of the.
The song was just more of them bloody Deacon Blue moaning and whinging on about stuff. Shut up, you idiots.
Yep. But yeah, he's turned into Herman Munster there. That's
go and do what you should have did.
Yeah, absolutely. And at number 28 is Headlong by Queen.
Headlong.
Now, this has got an oop diddy diddy and an oop diddy do in it, which
it really has,
I didn't like. I cried foul. It's one step from Marillion.
Yeah, it's not a great Queen song, Headlong. I mean, it's likable enough but it's not really a Queen song, and I'm guessing it's been released right at the end because the video's quite a tough watch, actually, because Freddie Mercury, it does look like a dying man in it. He
does look quite ill, but I actually preferred the video to this to what we had was the last one, which I'm going slightly mad because
yeah, completely, because
they do actually look like they're having a good time.
Yeah, no, there's no argument there.
And so that's it's nice, like you said, he was working up to, he tried to do everything up to the end, and they see that, and it does actually look like the four of them are, the four members are having a fun little time making the video for this.
And that's for me what made it quite sad to watch.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, but it did make me also go, he's with his mates, and that's quite cool.
It's true. I'm not sure what the timeline of that is, but Brian May's on good form in that. He's doing lots of he holds his guitar in the middle and then leans the neck of the guitar forward. He does a lot of that. Leans. I don't know what the Brian May neck lean, but he does a lot of that in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. The chorus reminded me of another song as well. I was getting ZZ Top vibes in this for some reason.
Yeah, it's because it's got that kind of steady beat, hasn't it? But it's
steady.
It's unusual. It's not what you call classic Queen song, but it's a bit more of a fun vibe, I think, than I'm Going Slightly Mad, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. Which is I kind of sort of appreciated, but it's like it was nice to see. In at number 29 is See the Lights by Simple Minds. More black and white.
I know. God, why? Why is it?
And more unpredictable dancing, I noticed. The man's a menace.
I know, he pops up like Charlton in Charlton the Willies. Fenella, the witch. He pops around like her, doesn't he?
So, yeah. He was crossing the road the other day when I was trying to get past on a zebra crossing. It took me 10 minutes to wait for him to cross. I didn't know where he was going. Backwards and forwards he was.
Pop up all over the
God's
place.
Sake. Jim Kerr, get off.
I know, he's a crazy fool. Just walk in a straight line, damn you, and stop fidgeting.
He's not the most fidgety person we'll see this week. Though.
No, he isn't. He's fidgeting, gets championed, he gets beaten.
Absolutely.
So the ultimate fidget's soon to appear.
There's a fidget off.
There really is.
In at number 31 is Move That Body by Technotronic.
It sounds like Technotronic, doesn't it? That actually, it sounds a little bit less like them, but it still ultimately sounds exactly like them. It's quite clever how they do that. For a moment that you think, does that Technotronic? Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it is. This doesn't sound like them though. This is number 33 is Kiss Them For Me by Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah,
I don't know what this is.
Long
this
since divorced from direction and musical direction, these guys.
Sounds like they're chasing a sound rather than helping to create one like they did.
Absolutely right. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's very strange, isn't it? Was it another black and white video? I seem to remember. Maybe not. I can't remember.
No, I think it's colour. It's colour.
But either way, very strange. I guess it's perhaps important what it isn't, which I suppose it isn't like anything else, but I'm not sure what it is actually like. So it's kind of in a, it's like describing a yogurt pot to a chimpanzee. It's not going to make much sense to anyone.
No, true. It's not. What was much better, though, is in at number 34, and this is Coast is Clear by Curve.
Yeah, it surprised me. Now, I don't remember ever knowingly hearing them, or at least if I had, I didn't know it was them. I was quite impressed with that. I thought it was quite good.
You'll have heard them in the Barge. They got played in the Barge a fair bit.
But
you wouldn't have known it was them. Yeah. No. But the good thing about Curve was that Tony Halliday as the singer. Good
very
Lord.
Striking, yes. Yeah,
good
very
Lord.
striking.
She was every indie kid's
wallpaper.
Yeah, absolutely. She was
paste.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those posters were well stuck up.
Ew. That's so gross. That's so gross.
Kev, very good. There were two of them, and they're just a kind of an interesting sort of indie band from around that time. Bit gothy, bit dancey, sort of somewhere in the middle.
I could tell.
No, quite good.
Did they play a lot in Gullivers? Is there any Gullivers gone out there?
Not really. No,
really
they were sort of a bit of an underground. They didn't really get much. I heard when I went down south, when I moved down south, I heard them a lot more. They just didn't seem to do much in Grimsby.
I can see why they were popular, though. I mean, she is quite a striking lead singer. Beautiful. Yeah, really amazing. So.
In at number 36, The Simple Truth 1991 by Crispy Burger.
Yeah, awful song.
Yeah,
Really bad.
I didn't know what to make of it.
Wittering, just preachy wittering. Yeah, horrible. I'm not a Krista Berg fan. And I never will be. I've never forgiven him for the death of Kirk's boy.
No. Damn him. Hack.
Burger! Berg! I'd love to see a version of The Wrath of Berg, where it's this Wrath of Khan replaced with the... Yeah, exactly.
I stab a D.
I have done more than hurt you, Kirk.
I have.
I've released 6 albums.
I will sing at your wedding.
Please, the computer's smashed. The stereo's inoperative. And thank God for that.
Number 47 is My Salt Heart by Hue and Cry. Here he is. Out Jim Kerr's Jim Kerr.
He does. He's very fidgety indeed.
Absolutely. This man's got ants in his pants. Very much so. And it's black and white again, isn't it? Of
course it is. Yeah, because that makes it very serious, doesn't it? But it sounded to me like a wet song that had escaped.
It did. That's a really good description of this. I was like, that's very apt. It does. Escape from what? I don't know. One of Marty's pillows, probably. Or his
now he was on The Masked Singer as well. He was Wolf. He was Wolf. Yeah.
Wolf? What, from Gladiators?
Yeah, he was Wolf. Thankfully, no. He was dressed as a wolf, with a wolf.
It'd be funny if he was just in that leotard. 60-year-old Marty Pello in a leotard.
He was a bipedal wolf, and it was all a bit weird. So
I don't like that show. In at number 62 is You Love Us by the Manic Street Preachers.
I've not heard a lot of Manic Street Preachers songs because I only really like a very small amount of very early stuff by them. Maybe even I think 2 songs really. This and another one. There's the ones I like. I'm not a big fan of theirs, but when they did a couple of songs, they're really good. So
if you want to, my suggestion to you is if you want to listen to this album's okay, but it's punky. It's quite raw and punky, and I'm not a big fan of this. This and Motorcycle Emptiness are the standout tracks from that period for me. Everyone knows Motorcycle Emptiness, but if you give second 2 albums, Gold Against the Soul and Holy Bible, listen, you might like them because they're a bit more rocky, but they're a bit more interesting, and they've got there's a bit more to them rather than punkiness. They're better albums.
There's one track of theirs that everyone likes that I like, and for the life of me,
Designed for Life?
No, way before that. It's the one with when it's got Richie Malik is in the band. It's one
probably
he wrote.
Motorcycle Emptiness.
No, how does it go? Is it one with the nice guitar riff at the beginning? That's the one I like.
No, it's not that one. That's I think that's on here. That's
Crash and Burn, isn't it? Crash and Burn?
Yeah, it might be, yeah. Yeah, that's on this album.
Burn. Yeah. See, I like that song and maybe one other. So
okay. 26th of May, in at number 10 is Shocked by Kylie Minogue.
Shocked by the power. Oh, yeah.
Very clubby, this. Very clubby.
Yeah, it's not pushing any new territory for Kylie. Probably they've realised now that she's becoming very popular in the gay clubs with this kind of sort of new energy type sound. And she's just playing on that and sort of, and doing very well out of that. Sort of showing her sister, actually, who's also in the chart, ironically. It must be weird to do that, to outgun your own sister in the chart. But sort of showing her how it's done, really. So I thought it was, if you like Kylie stuff, it's the journey that Kylie's on, where it's still a bit derivative, but it's starting to change direction from the early poppy stuff. She's a bit more saucy in the video and all that. I think black and white again, I seem to remember, but maybe not. I've lost track by now.
I think it was. In at number 21 is Yo Sweetness by MC Hammer.
This is so shit.
There you go. It's the worst dancing I was on about. It's just awful.
It's so bad. It's so, we're talking about MC Bleeding Hammer, for goodness sake. So we're not talking about, the man's not a Shakespeare, is he? Basically has managed so far to get away with sampling someone else's song and rapping badly over it and then dancing like someone's put snakes in his trousers, oversized trousers for that matter. So, do what you want to do in life. If you want to dress like a genie and dance around like you've got snakes in your trousers and that makes you money, fine. But don't do that in a place where people are trying to have dinner. That's just annoying for everybody. And in this video, they clearly just sat down to dinner and he comes in with a giant gang of people and starts up and about like they're trying to stamp ants out of existence or something. Get out of here. Kept putting in a complaint with the manager. I was enjoying my steak and then that lot appeared with that clown shoe. and I don't like it.
Absolutely. He's put me right off my chicken in a basket.
Exactly. I don't, and he's singing. I can't even understand what he's saying. I wouldn't mind so much, but all that stomping has spilt my drink. Get him out of here.
Absolutely. In at number 25 is 92 Degrees by Pop Will Eat Itself.
Still not the Pop Will Eat Itself I seem to remember being good.
No, this
Not
reminded
yet.
me of something like Utah Saints.
Yeah, very, very of that type and of that time, I guess. Must be they're all sort of amalgamating, aren't they, into a kind of quasi-rave-ish sound.
Yeah, they haven't quite got to the hard stuff yet, but they're just in that kind of dancey, ravey period, aren't they?
Exactly. There's other acts around this time that are a bit like this, like Eskimos in Egypt and people like that. And there's a few of them that sort of, they all develop this kind of sound. I think they've all bought the same Fairlight synthesizer or the same sampler or whatever.
The Shaman as well, I think, are another one probably.
It's absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. Again, another black and white, mostly black and white thing.
Yeah, in at number 27 is The Robots by Kraftwerk, the 1991 version.
Yeah, now oddly, this is given the 1991 treatment, so it's not as good as the original because the original is bona fide amazing, and it's off an amazing album. To this day, it's one of my favourite albums. It's pure techno. And I know there's different detractors. I mean, I'm a huge techno fan. I mean, massive. But the Kraftwerk are pure, at this point, the early point in the 1981, I think that came out originally, wasn't it? Or maybe even earlier.
Something like that, I don't know.
It is pure techno. It is technology making music in that kind of repetitive way and using synthesizers they built and no real sequences or anything like that. This is just electrical impulses logging onto other impulses and using all sorts of tricks to make sure it all synchronized. It's insane how they did all that. This really isn't a very good version of that because it just tries to amp up the 1991-iness of it and make it a bit more clubby. But it does prove that they haven't done a lot to it and it still retains its fundamental strength of being one of the most important dance tracks ever created. So, but this isn't going to do it any favors. It was made for the 1991 audience, so it's got lots of 1991 treatment in it.
Yeah, thank God it didn't have the woo yeah in it.
Yeah, exactly. And that surprised me. I thought when I saw that it was the 1991, I thought, oh God, here we go. And the video was quite funny because it's they literally have robots with really thin arms going, hello, I am a robot. Well, not saying that would be really boring.
It would be. That
really would be a crap 1991 version of the robots. But just I don't think it overshadows the importance of Kraftwerk, but what it does prove, because they re-released this quite a few times, is that fundamentally the Robots is just an incredibly powerful dance track and it remains it constantly, never changes. No matter what you do to it, it will always be Kraftwerk and the Robots. Amazing.
It will be.
Amazing.
And at number 28 is Only Fools Never Fall in Love by Sonia.
Did you write, I don't like this shitty song, or did I? I forget. I can't remember.
I think you wrote it. Oh, I might have written it. I don't know.
I don't remember writing that.
My comment was bouncy bass, stabby trumpets, clapping. No.
That's on her birthday card, strange enough. This was written in the style of Diana Ross, and it kind of you can tell because it's got that kind of chain reaction kind of sound, that sort of vibe, But it's Sonia's A&R man was Simon Cowell. Well, no, sorry, that was written by. But Simon Cowell heard this song and took it for Sonia to sing, and then after the single success, the guy that wrote it was keen to work with her directly again, but Simon Cowell was like, "You're never going to work with her." And that was the end of that.
Gatekeeper Cowell.
Yeah, well, Simon Cowell this is where he is becoming. So.
He's becoming.
Yes.
What's happening? He is becoming.
Well, look, you know what I say about Simon Cowell? It's quite famous. There's a song written about him. Everyone likes owls except Simon Cowell, right?
Cowell, yeah. Number 29 is Light My Fire, 1991, by The Doors, obviously on the back of the film that we talked about last week, I think.
It is, yeah. Now, I've been having since then, I've been having two things have happened, actually. I'd had a massive Doors retrospective because I thought I'm going to listen to the entirety of their first few albums because they are brilliant, but I wanted to listen to them and remastered, obviously, now. And also I watched an amazing interview with two of the guitarist and the drummer who are both quite old with Rick Beato on YouTube. And I would recommend anyone that likes the Doors, go and watch that interview with them because it is absolutely brilliant. It's an hour long. It's a really amazing insight into Jim Morrison and the film that they made and their life as in the Doors and how songs came to be and how they recorded it. It's just brilliant.
Ray Manzarek and is it Ray Manzarek? Oh no, because he's the keyboardist, isn't he? Or was he the guitarist?
Yeah, I forget the name of the drummer and the guitarist. It's gone out of my mind, but it's not the keyboardist is not in the interview. It's just the original drummer and the original guitarist. And at a certain point in the interview as well, which is genuinely good, they even get on the drum kit and the guitar and play the intros of some of the Doors songs. And it's just amazing because they just go straight back into it. Really good insight. What is also important to note, by the way, and I didn't realize this, is that the entire first album of the Doors was recorded on a 4-track. How mad is that?
That is crazy. I mean, this song's all right. I quite like it. It's good. I
love that song.
I don't, when the keyboard solo in this, when they used to play this at Gullies, was Time to Go Get a Drink.
Yeah, it's long. I mean, they cut that out for the release of the
for the single version. Yeah.
But I love I love all that stuff. But then when you listen to it nowadays, you want to hear all that, and I love it for that. But it is. You wouldn't want to be in Gulliver's and that come on, because everyone's going to be, getting into, that it would be untrue, and then it's like full on jazz exploration. Whoa, here we go.
It's like, yeah. Number 34 is Young Gods by Little Angels. Now, I got this the wrong way round, and I thought this was a song called Little Angels by Young Gods, and I was like, oh, that's good. The Young Gods have turned.
Yeah, no,
it's the other way around. It's Little Angels with Young Gods, and it just sounds like everything else. God's sake. It does, but thankfully we know it's coming to an end because we're not far off Nirvana. We do.
And Smells Like Teen Spirit, are we?
Well, there's a certain song coming up in a moment that signals it. Okay. And at number 36 is thinking about
Change by the Scorpions, for any chance.
Yeah. And at number 36 is Thinking About Your Love by Kenny Thomas.
Thinking About Your Love, Our Shite Gold. That.
Yeah, very smooth though, wasn't it? Smooth.
Yeah.
Music to iron by.
Yeah, her hat is small in that video. She's got all the excess material from.
Yeah, maybe she was a closet Mission fan.
I think it's but it is, even by their standards, too small for her head, isn't it? I mean, it's almost comedy. Tiny. It's almost comedy level. It's
Absolutely.
Really stupid.
It's like it's like a thimble on top of her head.
It is. You'd hear that song in the Hour of Shite, wouldn't you? That would be there. It would be.
In at number 47 is Take 5 by Northside.
I've never heard of them.
The guitar. It's first, fourth, fifth. I'm pretty sure this is More Than a Feeling by Boston. Transvision Vamp.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was listening to it going, this is just those songs. It was like, oh God, this is so bad. Shy.
Yeah. It happens a lot. And if you think about it, it's now been proved that you cannot copyright a chord pattern because of Ed Sheeran's court case, wasn't it, with Al Green's family and the rest of it. Because he was accused of ripping off "Let's Get It On," wasn't he, with one of his songs? Then it was the same chord pattern. I can't remember what the Ed Sheeran song is because I don't know any Ed Sheeran songs.
No, I don't either.
Will. But this, that is what you've identified there is another classic example of that. A riff or a guitar pattern or whatever you would call it that is very, very similar. I'm always drawn to. Do you remember Jet with "Are You Going to Be My Girl"?
Yeah.
And then I think of that, and then I think of "Lust for Life" by Iggy Pop. Because it's essentially the same song. Do 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 do. Lust for life. Do 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 do. Lust for life. Same, and it happens a lot, and that's probably another example. But I've never heard of them. Are they famous for something? Take Five?
No. I've heard of them, but not particularly one who. It's a band I was aware of at the time, but
thought you might.
In at number 52 is Solace of You by Living Colour.
Could almost be a UB40 track, that, but
I'm not sure about that. But it's not my Living Colour cup of tea. I like them a bit more upbeat, rocky.
Yeah,
I like
a bit more rocky than that. They've got an amazing guitarist in Living Colour, but I didn't hear a lot of amazing guitar in that. But there you go.
And at number 53, the song I was on about finally is "The Wind of Change" by the Scorpions. This is literally the death knell for this kind of thing, surely. Nevermind is out in September. I had a look. This is it. We're done. You're done. This is the song that does it. It's done.
Oh, it's so trite, this song, with that awful whistling at the beginning. Oh.
That little guitar plug.
That always reminds me of Spinal Tap with their song "Break Like the Wind," their album "Break Like the Wind."
Yeah,
it just reminds me so much of that. It's honestly dreadful. It could easily be that. So crap.
Yeah, it's just one of those songs that was ballad salad as you wrote, but it was almost a piss. It felt like a piss take at the time. It was so earnest that you could not take it seriously. Like no. In at number 54 to round the month off is "There's Got to Be a Way" by Mariah Carey. What's he doing in that video?
Who is that? It's Diggy Skaggs.
Diggy Skaggs pops up in this video. He's in there. That's a still from the video. Who is he?
He doesn't belong. It's what's happened there.
There's a guy in a cap, a sort of, and a just long hair. He just looks a bit confused. I don't know what he's doing in a Mariah Carey video.
You know full well that hair is attached to that cap.
So's the beard.
Yeah, exactly. His moustache is longer on one side. Who does that? Who makes their moustache longer on one side than the other? No one does that. He's a very strange looking man.
Yeah, who is he? What's he doing in this video? Who's
that guy?
I don't know, but it just pops up in the middle. There's all this nice dancing, and there's these three shots of like there's these three people, and he's just at the back of it going,
exactly.
Who is he? If you watch the video for "There's Got to Be a Way" by Mariah Carey, you'll know the person I mean when he pops up.
You will.
That's it. That's it for the singles. Let's quickly go through the albums. I don't think there's much out here. 5th of May, in at number 2 is The Best of the Waterboys, 81 to 90. I did like this note on the thingy. What was it? It's released. The Best of the Waterboys made 12 tracks, which personally selected by the band's lead singer, Mike Scott. It was the album, along with the reissue of the Hold the Moon, was an attempt by Chrysalis Records to boost the band's record sales to match their reputation. A survey of album buyers carried out by the label found that 11% considered themselves fans of the Waterboys. That's not high, is it? Only 1% actually owned any of their singles or albums.
That's quite low.
Is that 1% of 11%? Because that's like 0.1%.
Yeah, not a lot of people is what that equates to. Very few.
No. Have you ever bought anything by the Waterboys? No. I do consider myself a fan, though.
Yeah, I like them, but I'd never buy anything from them.
No. Yeah, you're a fan. Would you like to buy this? I said I'd never buy anything by them. And at number 7 is Union by Yes.
Yeah, I've never really been a Yes fan. So
right, this is very complicated, right? So Union is the 13th album by them. Production began following the amalgamation of two bands that featured previous and then current members of Yes. Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, ABWH, consisting of vocalist John Anderson, drummer Bill Bruford, keyboardist Rick Wakeman, and guitarist Steve Howe. And Yes, at that time comprising bassist and vocalist Chris Squire, guitarist and vocalist Trevor Rabin, keyboardist Tony Kay, and drummer Alan White. The 8 musicians signed with Arista, and a combination of unfinished tracks by both groups was selected for Union.
Wow, okay. So 2 versions of Yes came together.
Yeah, it's like yes. It's a double positive.
Yes means no.
Yeah, absolutely. Equals what? What's it equal?
How cheesy to call it Union as well. Like,
I know.
Gosh.
I know. So is it really the 13th studio album by English progressive rock band Yes? Or is it a new album by 8 people that formed a new band?
Well, it's exactly that. And inadvertently, they've become a living Venn diagram of different musical genres as well.
Yeah, true. What a weird thing. In at number 23 is Whirlpool by Chapter House.
No.
Debut album, Shoegazers. In at number 41, Laughter and Lust by Joe Jackson.
Not something... I was never a Joe Jackson fan. So.
No, can't say I was. 12th of May, in at number 2 is Time, Love and Tenderness by Michael Bolton.
Oh, God, that album was issued to middle-aged women in the UK.
with a sponge.
No, it was. It was issued. It was on wet vinyl, which is permanently wet.
The needle keeps slipping off.
Oh, he can slip off my needle anytime.
Weirdly, though, he got sued for loads of money for this. You saying about ripping off songs. There's a story here. In 1964, the American R&B group, the Isley Brothers, recorded a song titled Love is a Wonderful Thing. This was not included on any other album until years later. It was released as a single in 1966, and it bubbled under the Billboard chart. Never really got anywhere. Bolton's song contained similarities to the song by the Isleys exceeded the title. In 1994, a jury found songwriters Bolton and Goldmark, along with Sony Music, liable for copyright infringement due to multiple similarities. And 2 songs, and ordered them to pay the Isleys all profits earned from the single, plus 28% of the album profits.
Ouch.
Which amounted to over $5 million US.
Wow.
And it basically went to the Court of Appeals, and they went, no, you've ripped it off. And then it went further, the Supreme Court, and they went, no, you've ripped it off.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. Crazy. I'm not quite sure which track it is. I didn't catch that bit, but it's must be one of them. But yeah, they got, because it sold 16 million copies, this album.
I like the claim though, there, because that actually ties into what you said previously. He said He's heard the Isley Brothers, but though he wasn't a fan of their music. Isn't that almost identical to what happened to the other group?
Yeah.
The Waterboys. So you've heard of the Waterboys then? Well, I've heard of them. I wouldn't say I was a fan of their music as such.
I never bought one. Yeah.
I've never bought it. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the expensive mistake, isn't it?
I know. He'd never heard them. He was a fan. How can you be a fan if you never heard them?
Exactly.
Or never heard that recording? He was exercising his right to independent creation.
It's like at the time that they were recording the album, there was a silent welcoming committee. So he was obviously sidetracked by that.
Clearly.
Bolton.
Should we fire them? No.
No,
That's just their way of saying hello.
It's just the Isley Brothers. They're fine. Don't worry about that.
They're fine. I'm not particularly familiar with their music, but I am aware of them. Bolton? Have you released a song, Bolton?
Bolton.
In at number 3, Schubert Dip by EMF.
No.
They had an album.
I did with such a cheesy name.
Yeah, what a wacky name. In at number 5 is Sugar Tax by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark.
Gary was a big fan of them, wasn't he? OMD. I seem to remember him liking them.
He still is. This was the first of 3 recorded without co-founder Paul Humphreys. He'd left in 1989.
Fair enough.
Get Ready by Roachford was at number 20.
One song he was famous for, and then he released an album, I think, when he Roachford.
Yeah. In at number 30.
Toy or whatever it was, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Number 39 is Hard at Play by Huey Lewis and the News.
They were huge in America, weren't they? So
yeah. Over here with like, oh, you're in Back to the Future, but that was 6 years ago.
Yeah. Go Back to the Future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
19th of May, and at number 5 is Mighty Like a Rose by Elvis Costello. So this says the title is presumably a reference to the pop standard Mighty Like a Rose. And although that song does not appear on the album, the words of its first stanza are quoted in the booklet of the 2002 reissue. Do you know what that is?
No idea. I don't know what that even means.
No, I don't either. In at number 7 is De La Soul is Dead by De La Soul.
It's probably quite good, that.
Yeah, it's rated in, Rolling Stones or whoever, best albums of their time. In at number 9 is Power of Love by Luther Vandross.
Oh, he just keeps on bringing them out, doesn't he?
He can't stop pumping them. He just pumps out.
He just pumps out love juice over everything.
Absolutely. But it's so smooth, this. I bet it's smooth. I bet it's really smooth. There's no track on the vinyl.
The inside of his lounge is like Spider-Man's gym sock.
In at number 32 is Rumour and Sigh by Richard Thompson.
Who? Oh, Fairport Convention. All right, okay.
Yeah, he used to be in Fairport Convention. This was his a big album. It's like, I don't know.
It'd be fiddly diddly do, wouldn't it? It was a bit Fairport Convention where the kind of
fiddly diddly dee,
where they like Steel Eye Spanny type sound, I think, weren't they? Fairport
I think
Convention.
So. Maybe, I don't know. Probably were at that point. In at number 38 is OG Original Gangster by Ice-T.
A classic Ice-T album. If you like, you either like Ice-T. It's very influential, but if you either like that stuff, lots of important acts on there, isn't there? So Body Count featuring there, of course, became quite famous with them later on. And you like Ice-T, you like Ice-T. The guy who's very talented at this time, well in command of what he was doing.
Number 42 is Pop Life by Bananarama.
Oh God, they've released another album. I didn't realise. So.
They have. This is without Stock Aitken and Walkman as well. They've left.
It is, yeah, it is, and you can tell.
You can. 26th of May. Let's just get rid of it. We've already talked about this. Straight at number 1 was Seal.
Yep.
Number 7 is Unplugged, the official bootleg by Paul McCartney.
The last thing you need to do to Paul McCartney is unplug him.
Old wobbly head. He'll just
wobbly head. His head will just, because that's what the electricity in him is what keeps his head balanced. It's like a gyroscope. If you turn the electricity off, his head's all over. The magnets lose their power. His head's all over the place.
Absolutely.
He can fully rotate his head 360 degrees. He doesn't do. He doesn't do it very often. But when he does do it, it's worth seeing. Let me tell you that.
He does a full McCartney.
Exactly. That's where that came from.
That well-known saying, yeah. And at number 8 is Memorabilia, the singles, Soft Cell and Mark Almond.
There we are. There it is. We knew it was coming.
There it is. And at number 34, this is more weirdness. It's like prog bands are just disappearing. Well, number 34 is Electric Light Orchestra Part 2 with ELO by ELO Part 2.
Right,
so,
okay.
Right, so ELO, Electronic Light Orchestra Part 2 is the debut album by ELO Part 2. Okay. After
Right.
Electronic Light Orchestra, ELO was disbanded in 1986. Bev Bevan approached Jeff Lynne to record another album. Lynne declined. So in 1989, Bev Bevan formed a new band with a new lineup named ELO. However, Lynne objected to the use of ELO's name. After a lawsuit, a compromise was reached. The new name of the band would be ELO Part 2.
How bizarre is that?
In addition to the new name, Lynne would also receive a share of the royalties from ELO Part 2 sales.
Why won't they just call it something else?
Yeah, and have nothing to do with him.
Yeah. Could have called it anything else.
They could have called
ELO,
it
is it?
Jeff Lynne's Light Orchestra.
I'd have wound him up and just called it Hello.
I'd have called it Bev.
Bev, yeah. Elo. Jello. Jello would be
Jello.
Jello.
Just ridiculous, isn't it?
Elo,
Anyway,
is it? Yeah.
number 42 is Black by Black.
Okay.
This was a
third
hard album
wow.
to find information on.
Yeah, I imagine it was with the search like that, yeah.
Yeah, Black.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's the third album by the English singer-songwriter Black.
Yeah.
Whatever. Finally, you said it was coming. Here it is. Number 51, Extreme 2 Porn and Graffiti by Extreme, which obviously had the single More Than Words on it.
More Than Words is on there, and
Get the
it's
Funk
got
Out.
Get the Funk Out, and Get the Funk Out is got one of the greatest rock guitar solos of all time on it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Good,
You know,
it's good.
Betancourt, and the solo in that is absolutely mind-blowing. Not just because it's a diddly-diddly, which it is, obviously, extreme fast, guitar shredding. Fine, okay, it's that. But it's just a blast of somebody that's totally at the peak of their skills at that time, and he is literally on fire with that guitar, and he's just playing it in a way that it would give any guitarist envy. But when you see him play, because he does it live, when you watch the live videos, it's exactly the same live as he plays it on that record. It's no different. The guy is just incredible. And when you see it, and it's not just the fact that he does fast arpeggios, he accelerates the arpeggio to the music. You can see him getting really into it. Remember, he's the sole guitarist in the band, obviously. So he carries all of the guitar part for all of that. It's astonishing. I'm not a huge fan of Extreme per se, but that guitar solo, there's a very good video of a breakdown of that video ironically by Brian May from Queen. And when it gets to that solo, Brian May sort of puts the guitar down and he goes, yeah, no, I can't. I could never do anything like that. That is just crazy how good that is. And it is. It's just when you hear it, you think, you sort of take it for granted back then because there was so many shreddy guitarists of that type of band and there was loads of them and they're all good in their own way. But there is something about that solo when you hear it. It's just ferocious. It comes at you in such a powerful way. It's just incredible. Now, even now I can hear those arpeggios. So it's just the way it speeds up. It's just, honestly, go and listen to it. If you haven't heard it for a while, go and listen to it. And just from when you get to that solo, you'll be like, he was right about that solo.
He was right. I'll wait for it to appear in the charts and then I'll probably give it a listen. There we go. That's it. That's it for the music for May 1991. An odd bunch, a rum bunch, a black and white bunch, a fidgety bunch, an overly dancey bunch. But there you go. We're going to go away, take a quick break. We will come back. We still have 2 mighty games to get through in this episode. So please do stay with us. And we're back for 2 more games to see us get to halfway through May. There's only 8 games this month. And what games they are? Let's start off this part. Anyway, this next game. This is Popeye 2. Popeye 2. Who saw this coming? Popeye 2. £2.99, 40%. Ooh.
Yeah.
I know. It's been some time since Popeye graced the podcast. Nearly 5 years, in fact.
Wowza.
I know. We looked at the first Popeye game way back in episode 29, July 1986. And whilst we thought the big characters might be okay, the turgid gameplay was not very good at all.
No.
We advised you to wait for the next one.
Okay.
So here we are, 151 episodes later. That bus has finally arrived. Okay.
Yay.
Yay. So should you have waited, or should you have just gone home and had some chips? Probably the latter. Anyway, Popeye. It's now budget for $2.99. This is from Alternative Software, developed by Bizarre Developments. We've seen before, we'll see again, no doubt. The coder is Michael J. Lister. The sound and visuals by Paul A. Bellamy. This is the pair that brought us Huxley Pig and Kentucky Racing.
Okay. That's not great.
No, Michael Lister did do a fairly decent DNA Warrior, though.
Yeah,
You remember
that
that?
was all right. Yeah, I remember that.
But here they are, they're on the budget circuit doing cheap Popeye games. It's just that's what they're up to now. Cheap games. I'm not sure what the lead platform was on this. It came out inexplicably on various formats at the time, including the Amiga, the ST, Amstrad Spectrum, DOS, and the C64.
Okay.
So as ever in these Popeye games, there's some kind of story revolving around olive oil and Brutus.
Brutus, it's a good name, yes.
Who? It's Bluto.
I think in some instances he was Brutus, maybe.
I don't know.
You never know with Popeye. It's a
known as Bluto.
weird old thing. I'm saying I was known that. But.
Anyway, the manual says this. The gameplay, Popeye must free olive oil. They spelled it O-Y-L as well.
It is an unusual spelling. I don't know if it is that.
It's been captured by Brutus in a desperate bid to win her affection. Armed with muscle and courage. That's what he calls his arms.
That sounds like an album by Knights of Ebb.
Muscle and courage. Fortified with spinach, Popeye must pursue Brutus through many hazardous locations, battling with numerous foes and dangers. On his way, Popeye will meet several of his friends who will either help him or hinder him. Okay. That's what it means. Yeah. What this actually means is that you control Popeye over 4 annoying levels of vertical flick screen platforming. That's essentially what this is. The loading screen for this belies it's probably Spectrum roots, being very Spectrum-esque. It's a very Spectrum-esque title screen. It's up high res and single colour blocks and things like that. It looks like a Spectrum loader. Before the title screen assaults our ears. Now, you thought the music was bad on Shadow Dancer. This version of the Popeye theme is both fast and orally offensive. It is a dreadful piece of horror nightmare work. And thankfully, this is one game. I was glad there's no music in the actual game, because if it would have played like this, I would have been very unhappy, because this piece of music that, is awful. How do you get the Popeye theme so badly wrong? I don't understand.
No.
It's awful. The visuals here, they're not terrible. On this front screen, there's Popeye and Olive on there. They look like Popeye and Olive, sort of character sort of portrait bits of them, the head sort of thing. There's some nice screen switching for the credits, instructions on how to play. It's just ruined by that god awful theme tune.
It is horrible.
So
it's really
awful. So you will press fire as fast as you can to end the sonic torture, and we find ourselves at the bottom of level 1. The screen is split, as usual. The UI is at the bottom that shows our score, the lives, represented by 3 hearts. However, each of these hearts can take 5 hits before it disappears, meaning you have 15 lives in all.
Okay, you'll need them.
That's a lot. Yeah, you will. Your score bonus, which is ticking down, and a picture of Popeye's arm. At this point, weak and weedy, but hopefully it will become big and well grown. The game takes up the rest of the screen above this. There are 4 levels in all to go through, these being the building site, Biff's spinach factory, the jungle, and the shipyard. And all of them follow the same style of gameplay, with only the background visuals changing for each level.
That's right.
You control Popeye in the usual platform style, left and right to walk. Actually, fire is to jump here, though. As this is a vertical flick screen game, you need to climb ladders in the first level. It's drain pipes and ladders in the second. Ladders are in the jungle, weirdly enough, and finding there's masts in the shipyard. It makes no odds. Each level is practically the same. Okay, you're just climbing upwards. As you progress up the screen, you have various things you need to do in order to progress. So screens will have bombs on them, and they will ignite if you do not run over to them before they explode. If they do explode, they cost you one of your 15 lives. When you die, Popeye just slumps to the floor face down. Actually made me quite laugh. He's just like, but and then one of the hearts will start beating faster until 5 lives, and then it'll disappear. There are burgers to collect amongst the levels. You need to collect all of them, because at one point you'll come across Wimpy, and if you haven't collected all the burgers, he won't let you past, so you have to go back. You can go up and down the levels, as you see fit, but you need to collect all the burgers. So you see them. You will at one point see Sweepy, the little baby crawling around, up on high, and you must run over to him and stop him from falling from a dangerous height. If you don't, you lose a life. There are also cans of spinach dotted about, which will make your arm become big in the image, and it grants immunity for a short period of time, so you can run around stuff. There are plenty of hazards as well. Flames will spill from barrels and float across the platform. Springs will bounce up and down. Platforms will crumble under your feet. And great weights, anvils, coconuts, or barrels, depending on the level, will fall from the sky at alarming speeds to take one of your lives. There are also goons, that block your path. These pop up out of barrels, and they can't get past them. So you have to basically on those levels, cans of spinach will bounce up from the floor or from the bottom area, and you've got to run over them, and then you get and then you've got then you can run up to them and you mindlessly spam the fire button whilst next to them, but make sure to run away quickly before your arm runs out of power, which doesn't last long, otherwise the goon will take one of your lives. If you beat the goon, you get past them, you climb to the top of the level, you face off against Brutus at the top. This is exactly the same mechanic as the goons. To grab some spinach that's bouncing up and go punch him in the chops. That's pretty much it. If you knock him out, you get reunited with Olive, and you move on to the next level to do exactly the same things again, like I said, only with different background graphics. This game is annoying and cheap. And not budget price, Wayne, because it's a budget game, but because it's annoying and cheap. The things that fall from the sky are usually too fast to avoid, and some of them fall when you're on ladders, which is really annoying. I mean, you can't avoid them, so it'll just knock you off and you lose a life. It's really, really painful to play this. The gaps are massive in some parts of them, requiring pixel perfect jumping, and if you miss them, you'll fall down to the bottom level. Usually that will put you into a spring or a piece of fire or something that's floating around down below, and you'll lose another life and things like that. The sting of Popeye the Sailor Man that you get upon picking up spinach is grating and horrible. Fighting the goons and Brutus is tedious, as you need to grab spinach several times, not just once. So you're going back up and down, waiting for, and the spinach pops up from the bottom randomly. So you've only got, you kind of run about and you're on platforms, so you don't want to fall down. It's very annoying, and sometimes it's too far away. So by the time you've actually run back to the goon or Brutus, the power up has ran out. That's bloody annoying as well. So it's very, very frustrating because there's no payoff to all of this. You just get to Brutus and you go to the next level, and then when you end the game, it just loops, or it's just crap. It's just boring. It's just a shit vertical platformer. This is, we've seen much better games than this. Games like Rainbow Islands, even Ed the Duck. Okay, they've shown that you can do these things even at budget price. I think Ed the Duck was at budget price, wasn't it? But that was an okay vertical scrolling platformer type thing. This is a flick screen. It can be done okay. It feels to me, this felt like a crap version of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it's of that kind of thing, yeah.
Where you're trying to just get to the top and then move on to the next screen up above. And it just feels like that. But Donkey Kong was 1981, 10 years ago. And it's way better than this. This is really annoying. And I just hated this. The sprites are decent, I guess. They look like Popeye characters, but the game is a hateful thing, full of cheap deaths and annoying levels and mechanics. I didn't like anything about this. It's also incredibly difficult to line up climbing up ladders. You'd sort of move left and right, trying to, finding the pixel perfect space to climb up them. And in that time, you probably get hit by a flame or an anvil will fall on your head or whatever. And I don't care, so you'd be trying to climb up a ladder to get to a bomb, but you can't climb up the ladder because you haven't lined it up properly, and then the bomb will go off, you lose a life, and it's just things like that. It just doesn't play very well. It may work as intended. I'm not sure. Maybe this is exactly how they intended it, but the intention here is a bad one. This game is no better than the previous game, probably worse, actually. I can't remember much about it. I just remember the big sprites, the Don Priestley sprites. So no, you shouldn't have waited for this game to come along. And we were wrong to advise that back in episode 29. For that, I can only apologise. We were wrong about this saddle in this case. I thought this was a really, really terrible budget price platform. We've seen, we've just had CJ's Elephant Antics.
Yeah.
In the same price range, at the same point. And you look at that and you go, what the actual hell? I really didn't like this at all. I thought this was painful to play, horrible to listen to. The graphics are okay in a blocky kind of way, but the actual gameplay is frustrating, annoying, and painful. And I did not like it. So, another winner this week. What did you think, Graham?
Well, I didn't hate it as much as that. I didn't like it. At least, and there's a few good things. It did look like a Popeye game, and he did look like Popeye. And it was faster and more playable than the Don Priestley game, the first one, because that was like a shuffling around giant, fidgety sprites. So it looks the part. It looks like it looks like it could be fun. The problem is it's just a bit hateful in terms of its hazards. It's just lots of insta-deaths and not much fun to come from that. Just traversing upwards and snakes and ladders variation, like you said, Donkey Kong, really. It's just not much to that, really. It is £3, I suppose. But But I think I'd have been a bit more gracious if it had been $1.99, because then you've got, would you get $1.99 worth of entertainment out of it? Maybe. But at the same time, it's just, it's already challenging at best. It is very fidgety to control, try and get up the ladders and stuff. And that is just going to cost you, your lives. Mm-hmm. That you've been given 15 attempts tells you exactly how many you're going to need. Because you'll walk forward in the first 3 seconds of the game and you get killed by a falling 1-ton block immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, so that's going to happen. Or you'll be going up a ladder and a barrel will come down the ladder and kill you instantly. And it's just, there's loads of that in this game. Just random hazards that you can't avoid, that you could never know about, and that you can't learn. And so the game just is tedious because of that. And it's a pity, because I think had they just put a little bit of thought into that, you might have had, you might have got away with £3 worth of game. You might have got away with it. Here, it's just too hateful on the player. It does look okay, but there's nothing special going on here. And it is very late to the party. I mean, Popeye, goodness me, in the 90s, we were asking about its currency in the last game. Now we're talking about Popeye 2. Would you call it that? Why wouldn't you just call it Popeye's Next Adventure or something like that? I didn't encounter any of the other characters that are in it, but I'm guessing they might be in it somewhere.
Oh, I found them. Yeah, they're there.
And he was known, by the way, as Brutus as well as Bluto.
Oh, was he? Okay.
It's interchangeable.
I only ever knew him as Bluto.
Yeah, it is. It's interchangeable. But so the one good thing I'll say, it does look, and it plays as a functional Popeye game. Unfortunately, Popeye was a fun character, and this is a hateful experience. So it kind of kills itself, really, doesn't doing that. So I played it for a bit. I just got tired of dying, within 2 seconds of moving. The last death, I was walk forward, dead, move forward, death, pick up a can of spinach for the novelty value, too near a bomb, death, jumped over a hole, fell dead. It's just like, no, I'm not going to last long with a game like that. And it's not one that you want to keep coming back to either. So Popeye number 2, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a Popeye 3. It's a wrestling game.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean,
but we'll never see
currency to it, maybe. No, but we won't. Why would we want to?
No, we won't. But yeah, you go. I didn't like it. Popeye 2. Popeye number 2, I think. Yeah, you're right there. That's that one. Let's move on. We've still got one game left. And Graham, well, this is weird, this one, but this is over to you to tell us all about Mighty Bomb Jack.
Well, this is odd, actually, for all sorts of reasons. So this was $9.99. It got 78% in Zap. It was published by Elite for the C64. The conversion was Jeff Phillips. Now, I didn't actually make a note of all the other things Jeff Phillips had done, but we can find that out. But it's Jeff Phillips is what did it. Now, I'll tell you what's a bit weird about this is, so firstly, this is an arcade conversion. So this was released in the arcade as the sequel to Bomb Jack. So Bomb Jack was released by Tekken in 1985 in the arcades, or 1984-85. And Mighty Bomb Jack was released as an arcade in 1986 by Tecmo. So this fundamentally has arcade logic at its heart. Strangely, though, in 1986, this was also brought out as a NES game.
It started on the NES and was put to the arcade, I think. Yeah.
Well, no, it's according to the information I've got, it's the other way around. So it's a bit blurry. The lines are blurry. So if you go to the page, the pages that are dedicated to this, like the wiki pages, that says that it was a NES game first. If you go to the arcade page for Mighty Bomb Jack, it says that it was an arcade first. I think the truth of the matter is that the arcade is on a slightly elevated piece of hardware. So I don't know if the NES version came first. What I can tell you is that they're all basically of the same genus. Now, what's happened is there's a jump. So there's a NES version in 1986. Then the DOS version comes out in 1990, along with the Amiga version, the Atari ST version, and the Commodore 64 version. Then later, the Wii version comes out in 2007. The 3DS version comes out in 2012. The Wii U version comes out in 2014. And the Nintendo Switch version comes out in 2018. So this has been going a while. Now, finding a blurb for this is a bit of an art form, because the C64 version, I've got a little bit of cassette blurb, but I found the instructions to the NES version, which is about as close to the original instructions you can get. And the C64 version principally carries all of the same gameplay and all of the same structure. So this is from the arcade description, because this is the most complete description of the game I could find. It says, This is, by definition, a platform game where the main character travels throughout various levels collecting bombs. I mean, that's the bland description. That's not the back of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, the hero of the game, Jack, must make his way through 16 levels of a pyramid in order to defeat the demon Beelzebut and rescue the royal Chimera family. Each level is split into 2 parts, an action zone and a royal palace room. The mechanics and level designs of the royal palace rooms are directly lifted from the game's prequel, Bomb Jack. Action zones can be split up into several portions and contain power-ups, usually hidden in treasure chests, such as money bags, mighty coins, and mighty drinks. Mighty coins allow Jack to change colours. Blue allows Jack to open orange treasure chests. Orange allows him to open any treasure chest by simply touching it from the side. And green transforms all of the enemies on the screen into coins for 5 seconds. Mighty drinks add 10 seconds to the game's timer. And then secret passages can also be found in the action zones, activated by finding a sphinx in a visible or hidden treasure chest. To prevent the player from becoming too greedy, the game automatically sends the player to a torture room if they obtain more than 9 mighty coins or 99 seconds on the game timer, which seems really oddly counterproductive in a game like this, but that's what it does. The only way to escape a torture room without losing a life is to complete a number of jumps, which are counted down on the screen. Once the player exits the torture room, Jack automatically loses all mighty coins. The timer is reset to 60 seconds and the game recommences from the beginning of the current level. A Royal Palace Room. It says a Royal Palace Room NES version versus series version of the game is released in 1986 for Japanese market, not to be confused with the original dedicated arcade version. Differences between the original and VS series versions include adding a 2-player mode, changing the locations of some secret passages, and removing a warp trick in the Royal Palace Rooms. In the NES version, Jack could warp forward to the next Royal Palace Room if he touched the first lit bomb in the current room after the other 23 bombs were collected. However, if Jack died in the warping process, he'll be sent back to the beginning of the level from which the trick commenced. Mighty Bomb Jack also has a guest appearance on Tecmo Super Bowl during the halftime show in the Super Bowl. What that even means. So that's the arcade blurb. And the NES blurb is similar to that. It's a bit shorter. It says there was a legendary King Chimera who maintained peace and order in all over the world. Nobody could ever catch sight of King Chimera. One day, the king demon Beelzebut had a wicked plot to bring the world into ruin by abducting the merciful King Chimera, his beloved queen and their beloved princess. The mighty brothers fought bravely against Beelzebub in order to save King Chimera. Every brother was defeated by the king demon except Jack, the youngest and lone survivor. Jack gained additional courage and challenged the king demon to a final fight in order to restore peace all over the world. Good luck, Jack. Okay.
Good luck.
It is a little bit of an odd thing, isn't it, really? What the game is fundamentally is it's a side-scrolling platform game. Well, it's not just side-scrolling, it's multi-scrolling, but it's a multi-level scrolling platform game. So the first level, for example, and the idea is you've got to get to the exit on the levels. And to do that, you need to collect the bombs. And as I've explained, so what you'll see when you first start the game, you'll obviously get to the initial screen, which is just text, and you can choose 1 or 2 player, but it isn't cooperative play; it's sequential play. But once you get to that point, start the game. There's gentle music in the background, arcade version of the arcade music actually, or this NES version of the NES music. Yeah. And I'll tell you this right from the get-go: the arcade version and the C64 version and the NES version are all very, very similar. And by that I mean so this is a really good conversion of that. It's quite an accurate conversion. So you'll start the game, level 1. The main game is the full screen. There's a tiny little bit of UI on the screen in terms of you've got your score and your timer countdown. And there's a couple of letters in the corner that says MO, and I can't remember what they're for now, but your little Bomb Jack sprite is on the left. He looks like a little Viking helmeted Bomb Jack sprite, I guess. This is all quite nicely done on the C64. The background is the same as it is in the other versions. It's kind of brick pattern tiles, and then this kind of a variation of platform tile, a bit like Mario-esque, really. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that you'll run along to the right in this first level. You've got to collect the bombs, jump on the treasure chest, get the bonuses, try and collect the coins, but not too many coins, to make your way all the way through to collect all the bombs that will open up the door, which you can then go through, and then you'll go to the Royal Chamber. In the Royal Chamber, it's more of a single screen where you've then got to run around the screen collecting the bombs before the timer runs out to open the door on the right, and then you'll go through, and then you're into the next one. And so you progress all the way through. Now, there's 16 levels of all of this, and the next level goes downwards, scrolls down, and then one of them scrolls the other way, and then another one scrolls up. The principal logic is the same, though. Jump on the bombs, jump and collect the bombs, jump on the treasure chests. You can make Jack jump really high. As I've explained, there's the structure of collecting the different coins from the treasure chest so you can get extra money, but don't get too much. You can turn them with all the enemies, which are sort of jumping around, trying to get in your way and landing on platforms. You've got like a super jump, like you did in Bomb Jack, so you can jump really high if you need to, and then you can sort of float and navigate him down. That reminded me of CJ, actually, a little bit, in the way you could do that. So there's a little of CJ's antics in here, but the idea is that you're running along, collecting the bombs, avoiding the enemies, very, very Mario style, very platform style. So this is very not like Bomb Jack, which was kind of that manic run around one single screen, jumping around, collecting the bombs and doing all that. This is now turned into a kind of a side-scrolling adventure of that type. Now, you start as a little Bomb Jack sprite. Everything on here is one sprite big, one C64 sprite big. I think some of its characters as well, because there's quite a lot going on the screen. Not massive amounts. The pace is okay as well. You control Jack with the joystick. You can obviously push up and press fire to jump, and you can, it's standard controls in that respect. The treasure chests are a bit annoying because you've got to go over them and kind of jump on them, or you can get one of the coins and open them from the side. But either way, you've got to kind of open them. And they're positioned in such a way as so that you can go for them and you need to, but you know that there's going to be things that are going to get in your way. And the idea is you've got to jump up on the platforms and work your way across to the doorway. And so it goes on. And that's how the game progresses. Each of the game graphics at each of the levels is slightly different variation of a theme. They're quite colourful in their own way. The sprites are a little bit nondescript for the enemies, but your sprite always looks like a little mini Viking Bomb Jack, and it's pretty good. Control's okay. There's no real bugs in it as such. It's a good version of the 16 levels. They're all in the C64 version. It's a single load as well, which is pretty impressive. So what you've got here is quite a nicely packed version of a bit of an obscure game. Now, this isn't obscure in terms of NES, because this was hugely popular on the NES. It was quite a big hit. But I don't quite get where this conversion came from, I'll be honest. It's a bit left field to come out now. It sort of feels like it should have been out a few years ago. And I think had it come out back when the NES port came out, I think it would have, if this is a version of this would have come out in 1987, 88, or around the time of Janus Sisters, or around then, I think this would have been a really good contender for being one of those games that would have gone pretty good. And it still is a playable version of that game. However, there are some issues that I had with it. So graphics-wise, they're fine. It's a C64 variation of the same graphics from the arcade. It plays like the arcade. It plays like the NES version. Looks like it. The levels are exactly the same design. They're all there as well. They're no different. It scrolls up, left, does all the things that the arcade does. It's principally the same. The only thing is it's slower. It's slightly slower than those versions, so it doesn't play in quite the same frantic way. So you don't get the same sense of urgency. Now, Bomb Jack is famous for its sense of urgency because that's the whole notion of the original Bomb Jack. And I think by making it side-scrolling, I think this is a classic case of, what did you call it? Is it subtraction by addition, was it you called it?
Yeah.
So I think this is a classic case of subtraction by addition, because the original Bomb Jack the C64 version was never great. But the actual arcade is actually pretty good.
Yes.
It was all right. And it was quite a frantic, madcap kind of single screen, fun, blast, jump around. And it was some fun to be had in that game. I think by adding this kind of side-scrolling Mario-esque type logic to it, I can see what they thought to try and give it a little bit more depth and give it a bit more legs. And by adding Nintendo-style characters, which you get when you look at the NES version with some of the names. So the King Pamira and the Beelzebub, and they've kind of made a big thing about those names. It's got a very Nintendo-y vibe to it, the kind of vibe that Mario games give off. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where this sort of version kind of falls down a little bit, because they've stretched the levels out over a bit longer time, and because they've made it a bit more like Rainbow Islands, and not Rainbow Islands, sorry, more like New Zealand Story, and a bit more like that approach. Because they've gone for that, it sort of dilutes down the manic of it. So the idea becomes less about chasing bombs around and being Bomb Jack and more about being Mario. So this feels like a Mario game with a different character in it and different characters. Yeah. And it's like looking at a Mario game from an alternative universe, but it just lacks any of the fun. And the fun in Bomb Jack comes from the manicness around bombs. Now, but these bombs in the game, they just look like Maltesers. So they're just like little round balls. They don't feel like bombs that are going to explode and do lots of stuff. And in the arcade, they're more like that. But in the C64 version, that ploddiness that sort of comes with this, it's not super slow. It just feels a little bit more methodical. So it feels like a side or a multi-scrolling platform game, a bit by the numbers. And that means that it divorces itself. So they've tried to wrap it in this kind of story and this sort of vibe, and it doesn't fit. And because it doesn't fit, it feels at odds with the game you're playing, because you want to be running around, jumping around fast, diving back, grabbing bombs and throwing things. That feels like that's what you should be doing. But it's not that. You've just got to get to the other side of the screen by avoiding stuff and picking stuff up along the way, but not too much because you get put in the torture room. So while there's pickups and while there's hazards and while there's jumps and while there's all the parameters of a Mario game, this almost feels like that Mario Maker. Someone's made a game with Mario Maker that hasn't got Mario in it, and it's the first time they've ever done it. So it's not quite got enough hazards in it, and they're not quite that challenging, and it's okay and passable. And the graphics are genuinely quite good for what they are. It just feels like it's missing a trick. It just doesn't feel like it's that much fun. And I think it's because it lacks the bomb jackiness of it, and it's too much like a Mario game or too much like a New Zealand story. So the platform is the addition, and that's subtracted the nature of bomb jack out of it. So I felt like I was playing a game in the wrong pants. It felt like well, not literally, but it felt like I was playing. It was a game in the wrong trousers. You know, this was not a Mario game. This was a bomb jack game, but it felt like a Mario game or a variation of that, and I think it suffered for that. So it has all of the looks, and it does look great. It's no bugs. It plays really well in the terms of what it is. It's just not exciting enough, and it lacks some of. I think it just lacks something about the might. It lacks the mighty part and the bomb jack part. I'm not sure what it is, but I was struggling to really identify because I found myself playing it thinking, oh, this is okay, but I never got any further than okay. I never started to enjoy it. I just felt like it was rote, and I got to the end, and then I got to the next bit, and it just felt like, is that it? Is that all this is going to be for 16 levels? Where is the enjoyment? Where's the fun? What? It's just I don't know. It was missing something for me. So it has the look and the feel of the NES and the arcade, but it lacks any charm. And I think that's my prevailing takeaway of this. It's worth playing it for the obscure nature of, because it is really well put together. It just lacks the charm of a. It's not a NES game, so it's not on the NES, and I think it suffers from that. The C64 version, it's just lost something in translation, and it's really difficult to pinpoint what. So that was what I thought of it. Well put together, but missing something. What did you think?
Yeah. Just before I get into what I think, Jeff Phillips, he did the conversion for Zombie, the tape version.
All right, yeah.
Weird. That's the only other thing listed on Lemon. There's a comment from him on Lemon, actually, about this. Quite interesting that he managed to put it all together. All he had was a long video, the graphics, binary dumps, and the arcade ROMs. No documentation and a rough map. And he still didn't particularly understand how it all went together. So he's done a pretty decent job. But it's a strange old thing, isn't it? I mean, wherever it started life, whether it's NES or the arcade, but it's 1986. Why has it taken so long?
I don't know.
Bomb Jack was 1984, I think, and then we had Bomb Jack 2, which was a sort of home computer one only, and then this weird thing came out. And you'd have thought, and I think you're right, if this had have appeared 87, 88, you could have been like, yeah, okay, I can kind of get behind this. We didn't have kind of many games in the like of this.
No.
Since then, we've had things like Guyana Sisters, New Zealand Story, CJs, which have sort of shown that these games can be much better. And so I don't know. It's the problem I have with it is I'm not sure the nature of Bomb Jack's control translates well to a side-scrolling game.
No, that's what I mean. There's something not right about it, isn't there?
It's because of his big jump and his ability to float negates platforming.
Yeah, exactly that.
Whereas
Wrong
Mario
trousers.
Mario is rooted to the floor, and your jump is a jump. Here you can skid. I mean, you can fly up really far and then hammer the fire button and float across most of the level. It's like having Mario's the wing cap or the feather or the squirrel suit. It's like having that constantly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. I don't know. And like you said, the levels are quite simplistic and don't really challenge you very well.
No,
there's quite a lot to this. There's a few levels and everything like that. I'm not sure it was just a very good game to convert or what. I think you're right. It's a hard game to put your finger on what was up. It feels a bit random. Monsters just appear, whereas they feel designed in Mario games. And the twee music put me off. That's obviously I looked at the originals and it's the same music, but I feel like something called Mighty Bomb Jack needs a mighty soundtrack.
Yeah,
it needs something a bit more bombastic. And bombs rather than twee tunes we get here. I mean, if you dig Bomb Jack and the Bomb Jack ethos, the single screen bits are the best bits of this, and the little the little secret levels you can find and weird things like that. You might get something out of this. Lots of levels, visuals. They are a decent version of the NES original. It is a little bit slower, but I think for what it is, I think it's pretty much identical to that version.
Yeah, it is.
Just 5 years too late. I'm just not sure it has the variety to keep you hooked for that long. It's a bit samey. It's a bit one note. And it's a bit... I also didn't like the fact you have to... If you get the orange thing, you can run into the crates, or the blue, and you can run into the treasure chest from the side. But if you don't have that, you have to sort of go on top, do your big jump and down to open the things, and then float back down to them. It's a bit... It's just not...
It's that big giant jump doesn't suit nooks and crannies, does it?
No, platforms and scrolling platforms. It suits single screen levels and platforms where you're trying to get bombs in an order, but it doesn't suit exploration. And I think that's the problem here. By default, I think this is probably the best game we played this week.
Yeah.
Because it is a playable game and it's all there and it's okay, but it's just okay. And I think it's just too late to the party. And I think considering it's 5 years old, £3 on a budget label, you'd be much more going, actually, this is all right for £3. When you compare it against something like CJ's Antics, I know there's a lot more levels, but I don't know. But I think asking £10 for this, I'm not sure about that. Can you imagine?
Yeah. The NES version, the arcade version, by the way, have multiple endings as well for this. So depending on when you get to the final boss, depending on what you have with you, you can get one of 4 endings.
Okay.
And I would imagine, I can't verify it because I couldn't find a full playthrough on the C64 anywhere.
That's always a good sign that this is a weird obscurity, isn't it?
But the NES version's got them, and I suspect the other version, there's no reason to suspect the C64 doesn't also have the same endings. It has the secret levels and everything, so I imagine it probably does, but interesting. Just odd. There's obviously a lot of thoughts gone into the game, except on how you make it exciting and controllable, which is really weird.
It's trying to fit Bomb Jack into Mario, and that control system just does not work.
No, exactly.
In a scrolling, it works better. I think it works better in the vertical ones than it does in the left to right ones. The vertical ones, that kind of works a bit better because of the nature of jumping up and down vertically. But left to right it's just a weird thing.
It's a real curio, isn't it? Isn't it a real curious thing?
Yeah. I'd never heard of it before we were I was sort of planning the year, and I was like, Mighty Bomb Jack? What the hell's this?
And I tell you what, it was hard to find anything out about the C64 version. It clearly was very limited in its release because it's next to him. I mean, I found a case cover and stuff on Moby, but there's such limited information about the C64 version. I'm resorting to looking at the Amiga and other versions where I could find them, and the NES was the only one I could come up with that had a complete instruction set.
There you go. But yeah, like I said, by default, probably the best of the week. And there you go. That is the first half of May 1991. We had 4 games this week. We had Shadow Dancer, slow, ploddy, boring. Yeah. We had Rugby Coach, slow, rubbish. Popeye 2, it's just painful. And the weirdness that was Mighty Bomb Jack. There we go. Well, there's 4 more games to come, though, for May. They are coming up next week. They are Skull and Crossbones, which is the cover game. Gremlins 2, the new batch. Something called Moonfall, which is interesting. It's a Jari Juskalainen. I can't remember his name. Jari Juskalainen guy. It's I think it's his last one on the platform. I think sort of a 3D vector thing. And finally, we have Warlock, the Avenger. Okay. To come next week. That's it. That's it for the first half. You got anything you'd like to add, Graham, to all those shenanigans?
No, I'm still struggling to come to terms with Rugby Coach. So, Shadow Dancer, crap. Rugby Coach, really crap. Popeye 2, not
pretty
good.
Crap.
Pretty crap. And Mighty Bomb Jack, not crap, actually. It would be unfair to say it's crap.
No, I don't think it is.
It's just missing something. It's
a good port. I'll give it that. It's a really good port of that original game, that NES or arcade game. But it's the original lacks the thing.
Yeah. It's a good copy of something that wasn't quite right in the first place. So
yeah. There you go. So as ever, if you wish to support the podcast, you can do that. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Zapped to the Past. Go over there. Price of a sandwich or something. Gets you the full C64 level where you get the episodes early, ad-free, join a Discord, join in with all the shenanigans going on there. You can get, if you are part of that, and I think you're still doing this, aren't you? If they ask, you get discounts at the shop. Yeah, that's right. Yep. If you're patrons, our patrons, you do get discount. Yep. Yeah, and you want anything from the shop, just speak to us there and zappedtothepast.shop. So if you want to buy merchandise, there's Ko-fi at ko-fi/Zapped to the Past. It's always welcome. Thank you, Etienne Bettingfeld, who sent us a small payment. That was very nicely appreciated. He bought us a coffee. Thank you very much. You. Very kind. Yeah, it's always appreciated. And so forth. There's anywhere else? Where are we? Oh, on social medias and all that sort of thing. Please come and say hello. If you fancy it. If any of the games have, we've got some feedback from people just discovering Swiv. And really enjoying it from our coverage. I think so they should. Not a lot of people. I probably wasn't aware that there was a C64 version of it. So maybe not a lot of people are. Kind of overshadowed by the Amiga version.
Yeah, and probably rightly, actually. The Amiga one is amazing. But you know what? There's a really good Martin Piper, the legend that is Martin Piper, who does these amazing takedowns and sort of unpicks all of the code in these games. There's an excellent video he's done on Swiv, and he takes it right down to the loader and takes the game apart. And he actually does a analysis of the multiplexer cycle speed between Swiv and I want to say Terra Cresta, where he discovers that it is significantly faster than Swiv, and it's also multiplexing more sprites. It's 32 sprite multiplex it's running.
Yeah, it's very clever really as well. Fast. I sat there, watched it. It's an hour long. I sat there and watched it, not really understanding what I was watching because it's very, very advanced sort of C64 stuff going on. But I kind of get my head around it. But it's very interesting to watch, especially as he's going back and forth with the multiplexer making the sprites appear. The way he does it is really sort of clever. Like he shows you how the C64 is doing its thing. Yeah. So it kind of does break it down in a way that is accessible.
Yeah, he does. It's a really nicely. They're really good videos, and it's just genuinely because he does a lot. He doesn't just do the games, of which of course he does, but he also does demo breakdowns and looks at some of the demo code, and there's some really interesting ones in there. No, there was a video that came out called 9, which was allegedly featured 9 sprites on the screen, and there was some trickery involved, obviously, and he was immediately into taking that down and finding out exactly how they'd achieved what they'd done. And it's just a really good series of videos to watch. He's constantly releasing them and all sorts of other stuff. It's genuinely good. But the Swift takedown, it was just really interesting when he did the pound for pound cycle for cycle comparison between 2 sort routines for a multiplexer, which is of course where the power is at, and proved categorically that the Swift one is some seriously good code going on. It's really fast.
Yeah, it's very good. Weird as well that you never notice that little sprite jiggle. Although now I play Swiv, I can see it. I'm like, oh, damn you, Martin. You've made me look at it and see the sprite jiggle.
Yeah. My sprites go jiggle. Yeah, they do.
But it's really good. So there you go. Go have a look at that as well because it is, his YouTube channel is really good. And we're not affiliated with him anyway. I've just mentioned it because it is really good.
They're just great videos. And I even gave him a little coffee money payment, and he puts a little thank you to me on his YouTube. He didn't have to do that, but he does because he's a kind-hearted guy. So keep on trucking, Martin.
Yeah, keep on breaking us down. If you do listen to us, I don't know if you do sort of thing. I'd love a Green Beret one. I don't think you've done a Green Beret one.
It's I bet that's the same bloody because it's the ocean.
It's the ocean one. Famous, but I'm just curious to see it. So, but I see maybe it's evolution from that to Terra Cresta because it's
Dave Collier. Yeah, go on his channel, ask him.
I might do. I think on that note, we're going to say goodbye and let you get going. Nothing more to add, is there? I think we're done.
No, that's it. We're done.
We're done. All right. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham, and I'm never playing Rugby Coach again, Raddings.
And you have been listening to Zapped to the Past, this week brought to you in black and white. And we will see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.